Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Naruto, Orochimaru Disciple, awakened extraordinary enlightenment talent at first. Chapter 1. I actually traveled through time. Ishihara was a little confused. But seeing that he had turned into a baby's body, he completely understood his situation. He traveled through time, and his body became a child. He was thrown into the wilderness. Shit, Ishihara felt panic in his heart. He didn't hate traveling through time. After all, his life in his previous life was too boring and tiring. But turning himself into a child and throwing him into the wilderness, is this something a human can do? Even if he doesn't starve to death, there are still wild beasts. System, Ishihara called out in his heart hurriedly. The host has completed the travel through time, and the system has been activated. Congratulations on activating the heaven-defying enlightenment system. A mechanical and cold voice sounded in his mind. Ishihara's eyes widened in shock. As a fan of novels in his previous life, he was not unfamiliar with the system. And his own system of incomprehension is very awesome. However, now he needs a kind lady to take him away more than the system. Am I going to be the shame of a generation of time travelers? Die before I succeed. Ishihara was a little unwilling. Suddenly, hiss. A rapid and cold voice sounded. Ishihara turned his head and his pupils shrank suddenly, and his heart beat a half-beat slower in fear. I saw a snake swimming quickly from a distance and rushing straight towards him. It's over. Is his luck so bad? Ishihara was so angry that his teeth itched, but the desire to survive still made him stare at the snake with his eyes, muttering. Go, go, go. You heard the snake's hissing, you tried to communicate with the venomous snake. You felt the snake's emotions, and you created the snake control technique. Ishihara's eyes suddenly widened. Is this the heaven-defying enlightenment? I love it. I love it. A large amount of information was instilled into his mind, and he instantly understood the snake controlling technique. He shouted even more happily. The snake opposite him suddenly froze in place, and its slender tongue kept moving forward, and soon returned to the original path. Orochimaru was resting in the forest. Not long ago, the secret of his using children for taboo experiments in Konaha was discovered by the third Hokage. Although the third Hokage did not attack him on the spot, he was able to escape from Konaha quickly. But soon he was still hunted down by Konaha. In addition, the trap set by the third Hokage in advance caused him to be injured. He is still on the run. He stopped to rest just now to bandage the wound. At the same time, a large number of snakes were scattered to explore in all directions. But unexpectedly, a snake actually returned to the original path. What's going on? Orochimaru looked around vigilantly, then grabbed the snake and communicated. As someone who had signed a spiritual contract with Raichido, he could communicate with snakes easily. He soon understood what happened and was surprised. You mean a baby controls your body? Interesting. Orochimaru licked his lips. Apart from him, this was the first time he met someone who could control snakes. It shouldn't be a trap. After making a judgment in his mind, Orochimaru approached Ishihara's position cautiously with curiosity. Soon, he saw the child lying in a cradle under a tree. It was Ishihara. It's really just a child. Orochimaru narrowed his eyes and ordered several snakes to circle around Ishihara. He needed to test it. Soon, Ishihara screamed again. There is a strange rhythm in the voice. Is this the real reason why he controls snakes? Orochimaru stared at Ishihara in surprise. He found that even if he wanted to master the rules in Ishihara's voice, it would take a lot of time. There is no way a child can learn it. But this impossible situation just happened. Could it be some special bloodline limit? And it was awakened naturally. Orochimaru's eyes lit up and he felt a little happy. Fortune has come. For a moment, Orochimaru felt a little close to an expected Ishihara. He suddenly appeared in front of Ishihara. Immediately, Ishihara's voice stopped abruptly and he stared at him with wide eyes. Holy shit, it's Orochimaru. Ishihara suddenly understood that he might have traveled to the world of Naruto. But why was Orochimaru the one who discovered him? This is Uncle Snake who likes experimental subjects. Although he likes geniuses very much and treats them extremely favorably. I seem to be a genius now. That'll be fine. Ishihara looked at the cold-looking Orochimaru and grinned. No matter what, let's survive first. Orochimaru looked at Ishihara's smile and was stunned for a moment. If you can survive, then become my disciple. On the way to defect, he met Ishihara, which gave him a feeling of fate. He checked Ishihara's body and was very sure that there was no trace of chakra in his body. Being able to control his snake under such circumstances is worth looking forward to in the future. When Ishihara heard this, he smiled even more happily. Finally, I no longer have to stay in the wilderness and wait to die. Orochimaru picked up Ishihara and continued his escape. Perhaps because he was about to leave the border of Fire Country, Orochimaru did not encounter Konaha's Anbu again. It made him feel more relaxed. But Ishihara was tortured almost crazy. What the hell is this way of holding a child? I'm about to die. If you don't feed me something, I'm going to starve to death. Unable to bear the hunger, Ishihara poked Orochimaru with his small hand, opened his mouth and screamed. Are you hungry? After Orochimaru stopped, he looked at Ishihara, who quickly woke up, and then frowned. Now that he is on the run, he has no time and energy to find milk for a child. So he walked into the forest and caught a wild wolf as big as a cow. Kid, can you survive to see God's will? After saying that, he slashed the wolf's throat with a kunai, and blood flowed out. Below is Ishihara with his eyes wide open. Something's wrong. Holy shit, even if I don't have milk, Orochimaru, the fool, actually feeds me blood. Ishihara felt MMP in his heart. But as the blood flowed down his throat, the hunger in his belly made him involuntarily start to swallow. Gudong, gudong, warm blood flowed into the stomach. Ishihara suddenly felt a sudden change in his heart. Not good. He felt very uncomfortable in his stomach, much more uncomfortable than before after a bad meal. He can't digest it. But right now, you understand the digestive system of the stomach, you feel the nutrients in the blood that are eager to be absorbed, and you create the bloodthirsty magic skill. What the hell is the bloodthirsty demonic skill? Ishihara's eyes widened in shock. Is there something wrong with this broken system? I am an unworthy young man, and you actually gave me magic powers. But when a stream of information poured into his mind, Ishihara suddenly felt really good. Bloodthirsty demonic skill. It can quickly absorb nutrients in the blood, accelerate body growth, strengthen one's own physique, and speed up body recovery. There are 3 special effects. Awesome! Ishihara cheered in his heart. At the moment, he didn't care whether it was a magic power or not, he started working directly. Suddenly his stomach began to exert force, and the blood that had made him very uncomfortable just now was instantly digested and absorbed by his stomach like crazy. A large amount of nutrients and energy are absorbed and circulated throughout the body. For a moment, Ishihara actually felt that his body was warm. But he was so immersed in drinking that he didn't notice Orochimaru staring at him, and he was shocked. 2 liters. He's drank more than 2 liters of blood. Not only did my stomach not rise and fall at all, but the blood disappeared immediately after being drank. Did he digest it? Orochimaru was a little surprised for a moment. Even though he was well informed, he was shocked by Ishihara's digestion ability and appetite. I seem to have picked up a great guy this time. After Orochimaru stared at Ishihara for a while, he suddenly laughed. Although they had just met not long ago, Ishihara had too many surprises for him. He couldn't help but start looking forward to Ishihara's future. Let me see where you can go in the future. Orochimaru watched calmly as Ishihara drank all the blood of the wild wolf, without saying anything, and continued on his way with him. I was so excited just now and it seemed like I was exposed. Ishihara sighed in his heart and could only take one step at a time. As long as you show enough talent, you should be fine. Soon after, Orochimaru escaped from the Kingdom of Fire and came to a secret base in the neighboring Kingdom of Tien. The location of the secret base is underground. When Orochimaru resisted, several figures appeared at the door and knelt down to greet him. Lord Orochimaru. Without even looking at them, Orochimaru walked in and ordered. Gather information about Konaha for me. I want to keep track of Konaha's situation at all times. Yes. Looking at Orochimaru's back, the cannon fodder level subordinates looked at each other in surprise. Lord Orochimaru, who was as cold as a snake, came back with a child. Lord Orochimaru, do you need me to find a woman to take care of the child? Someone asked boldly. Orochimaru paused and looked down at Ishihara, who was looking around with round eyes. No need, I will take care of the child myself. The subordinates were shocked and widened their eyes, their faces full of disbelief. However, Orochimaru ignored their thoughts and took Ishihara into the dim underground base. Ishihara stared curiously at the sights along the way. The entire base is underground from the entrance, so the light is very dim. There are long passages leading straight to the bottom, and there are passages in the middle leading to other directions. There are identical rooms on the walls of the passage. Like an ant nest maze. Ishihara looked dizzy for a while. But soon, Orochimaru stopped, took him into a room, arranged for someone to watch him, and then left. Ishihara also quickly fell into sleep. As a baby, his main task now is to sleep. Time flies. In the blink of an eye, 3 years flew by. In the past 3 years, Ishihara's performance has exceeded Orochimaru's expectations for him. March can speak. I can leave in May. Literary literacy in July. In October, I was able to browse the information and documents. He is also mostly seen in Orochimaru's laboratory and Orochimaru's data room. Because of his incredible understanding, Ishihara learns everything very quickly, faster than normal, and can even innovate and bring forth new ideas, which even shocks Orochimaru. He believed that Ishihara was definitely a genius that surpassed him. He has also been looking forward to the day when Ishihara starts practicing ninjutsu. And this day finally arrived. Deep in the dim base, there is a small square. Orochimaru arrived here with Ishihara and drove everyone away. He looked at Ishihara opposite and still couldn't help but show wonder. Although he was only 3 years old, Ishihara relied on his self-created bodybuilding skills to have the figure of an ordinary boy of 7 or 8 years old. This kind of physical fitness is enough to refine chakra and start practicing. Ishihara, from today on, you will start practicing ninjutsu with me. This name was engraved on a jade plaque on Ishihara's body. After Orochimaru discovered it, he called him Ishihara. Teacher, can learning ninjutsu make me immortal? Orochimaru was stunned for a moment, then said with a smile, I have a secret technique of immortal reincarnation, which can make you live forever. I remember, teacher, you seem to have said that there are major flaws in reincarnation. Ishihara pouted. What he wants is true immortality, just like in the fairy tales of his previous life. It's not Orochimaru's secret technique of seizing a body that has obvious flaws and requires constant body changes. Seeing the disgusted look on his face, Orochimaru's face turned a little dark. This disciple is too smart, but that's the only problem. It's not easy to fool him. For 3 years, Ishihara gained a more realistic understanding of the world of Naruto through Orochimaru's intelligence system. Today's ninja world seems peaceful, but in fact there are constant secret conflicts. After the Nine Tails Rebellion, the sacrifices of the 4th Hokage and the Nine Tails Jinchuriki, coupled with the defection of Orochimaru, resulted in a significant reduction in the combat power of Konaha's top. Although the major ninja villages suffered heavy losses in the Third Ninja War, they were no longer able to start a war. But other villages would not miss the opportunity of Konaha's weakness, and constantly harassed Konaha at the border to test Konaha's strength. And Konaha no longer cared about chasing Orochimaru, the traitor. Therefore, there should be no large-scale conflicts in the next few years, at least it will not affect him. It can be regarded as a stable period. Ishihara can develop and study his skills with peace of mind. So he was not satisfied with just learning Shimaru's stuff. Instead, he wanted to use Orochimaru's knowledge to create a true method of immortality. In the past 3 years, he has been studying continuously, and he has read all the information that Orochimaru allowed. Although these information and knowledge are basic in nature. But it is precisely because of this that he, who has incredible understanding, also completely understood the truth about chakra. It is not the few lines of official text that I have seen in my previous life. But the real principle has been thoroughly understood by him. It is precisely because of this that he is sure to create his own method of immortality. Teacher, I want to gain true immortality, not this incomplete secret technique that requires constantly changing bodies and tearing apart souls. Ishihara looked at Orochimaru solemnly and said. After 3 years of getting along, he dared not say that he had understood Orochimaru, but at least he knew how to get along with him. As long as you can show enough value, it doesn't matter if you break the sky with Orochimaru. And he has exactly such value and qualifications. Real immortality, Orochimaru looked at the confident Ishihara and couldn't help but feel a little lost. Immortality is what he longs for. In the eyes of anyone in the ninja world, even his teacher, the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, thought it was a fantasy. But the boy in front of him said it so naturally that he couldn't help but feel that Ishihara could really do it. After all, no one knows better than him how terrifying Ishihara's talent is. Even scary. Then I'll wait and see, Orochimaru said with a somewhat hoarse voice. Teacher, I hope to see more knowledge and information. Ishihara knew what he needed most. Only with sufficient foundation can his heaven-defying understanding be of maximum value. So he needs knowledge, the more the better. And in this regard, only Orochimaru is the most suitable for him. Orochimaru nodded after a moment of silence. However, from today on, you have to learn ninjutsu from me. Longevity without strength is like a tall building made of sand, which will collapse at any time. Yes, Ishihara agreed with Orochimaru's words. Longevity is one's own way, but one must also have the art of protecting the way. And in this world, ninjutsu is one's own art of protecting the way. Orochimaru nodded with satisfaction. I couldn't be more satisfied with Ishihara. Not only smart, but also able to face reality. Then he took out a huge scroll and a key from behind and gave it to Ishihara. Here are some of the low and medium level ninjutsu I collected, as well as the key to the data room. With your talent, most ninjutsu should not be difficult for you. If you encounter difficulties, come to me again. Ishihara nodded happily. He really likes Orochimaru's teaching method, which is perfect for him. Thank you Orochimaru-sensei. Ishihara thanked him seriously. To be honest, ordinary teachers would never have the tolerance to directly hand over a large number of ninjutsu to their disciples. Just with this operation, Orochimaru is beyond the reach of ordinary people. I look forward to seeing you grow up. After Orochimaru finished speaking, he turned around and continued his experiments. Recently, he spent a lot of time on the experiments of curse seals and immortal reincarnation, and happened to encounter a problem that needed to be solved. Ishihara arrived at Orochimaru's data room. This data room is different from the previous one. It has a larger space and more information. It is comparable to the football field in the previous life. Densely packed bookshelves line the reference room, filled with scrolls. Fire escape, water escape, earth escape, thunder escape, wind escape, taijutsu, genjutsu, medical ninjutsu, experimental data. Ishihara's eyes couldn't help but become hot. Then he couldn't wait to come to the desk and open the huge scroll given by Orochimaru. It is densely packed with small characters. There are not only various ninjutsu, but also various knowledge, as well as Orochimaru's annotations beside it. To some extent, this is more like the outline of Orochimaru's knowledge system. The first thing that catches the eye is Taijutsu chapter. Good stuff. Ishihara's eyes seemed to be firmly welded to the scroll, and he could no longer move his eyes away. What he saw was a lot of physical training and refinement. What is recorded above is not only a lot of practice, but also the assistance and nourishment of various secret medicines. Various explanations of principles, in-depth and simple explanations, and extremely in-depth research made Ishihara's hair stand on end with excitement. At the same time, he took each scroll from the bookshelf based on the information on the scroll. More details are above. It even includes some research data on Orochimaru's autopsy. What a treasure! When you are hungry, ask someone to prepare a meal, and continue to come back after eating. Time passes day by day. Ishihara read more and more content, and he almost flipped through the physical scrolls. He has a detailed understanding of the various taijutsu systems in the ninja world. Finally, he put down the last scroll of physical skills, sat at the desk and closed his eyes. In my mind, the knowledge I had learned over the past few days began to flash in my mind. There is also the bloodthirsty demonic skill that he created before, as well as the self-created body exercise based on the fitness knowledge from previous lives combined with the practice methods of this world. But looking at these physical skills at this moment, there are countless flashes of inspiration in Ishihara's mind. You clearly understand that the secret of physical skills is tonic. You combine the bloodthirsty magic skills and the bodybuilding skills to create a new skill, swallowing the bodybuilding skills. Swallowing bodybuilding skill. By eating a lot of food and supplements, your physique can be strengthened, your vitality greatly increased, your body can grow rapidly, injuries can be recovered quickly, it can promote qualitative changes in your physique, and increase your lifespan. A lot of information flooded into my mind. Ishihara closed his eyes and seemed to see himself eating meat. A large amount of protein was digested immediately after entering the body and turned into food for the physical body, making his physique stronger and stronger. Gradually some kind of qualitative change occurred. Good. It can actually increase your lifespan. Ishihara was overjoyed. The devouring body strengthening technique cannot be compared to the bloodthirsty demonic technique in terms of its scope of application or enhancement effect. As long as he eats a lot in the next period of time, his physique will definitely improve by leaps and bounds. More importantly, he saw the possibility of physical immortality. A flash of light flashed in Ishihara's eyes. He put down the scroll and let out a long breath. Although he was very tired, the delivery was worth his efforts. Have you encountered any problems recently? Orochimaru didn't know when he appeared at the door of the data room and asked in a hoarse voice. Ishihara frowned. Recently, he had been so immersed in studying that he had forgotten to maintain the relationship with Orochimaru. I haven't encountered any problems. I just developed a new secret technique. Please help me, teacher. Ishihara knew it was time to show his worth. Decided to take out the abandoned body training skill. Orochimaru's pupils shrank, he stared at Ishihara and smiled coldly. As expected of the genius I value, he has been able to develop a secret technique on his own. Ishihara calmly took out a blank scroll and wrote down the bodybuilding skills on it. Orochimaru came to the side and watched quietly. But gradually, his pupils began to dilate, his heartbeat began to accelerate, and he completely lost his composure. How is that possible? Just relying on a few special movements to exercise can actually strengthen your physique. Orochimaru felt incredible. After Ishihara finished writing, he couldn't wait to pick up the scroll and look at it carefully. There is absolutely nothing wrong with it in theory. He turned his head and stared at Ishihara with gleaming eyes, as if he were looking at a peerless treasure. He believed that Ishihara would never dare to fool him. After all, this is so easy to verify. In other words, physical exercise is real. Ishihara was shocked by the sight and couldn't help but feel a little uneasy. You won't overdo it, your bodybuilding skills shouldn't be that powerful. I didn't expect the next second. Orochimaru laughed. Ishihara, you are even better than I thought. Just this secret technique made Orochimaru feel that all the privileges he gave Ishihara were worth it. You scared me. Ishihara cursed in his heart, but he was relieved. It seems that he has passed the test. I will have someone verify the bodybuilding skills. If it is true, then I will give you more information and permissions. Orochimaru couldn't wait to take the bodybuilding skills and leave. More permissions. Ishihara's eyes flashed with a gleam of light. Although it seems that he can see a lot of information, it definitely does not include Orochimaru's forbidden technique research. These are exactly what are most important to him. I hope Orochimaru's research will not disappoint me. Ishihara murmured to himself in anticipation. A few days later, Orochimaru looked at the experimental results of his subordinates and smiled coldly. Basic physical fitness has been improved within a few days. Ishihara has really developed an incredible secret technique. Looking at the result, even Orochimaru couldn't help but be shocked. The quality of his men is very average, and even becoming a chunin is considered good. But with the help of physical training, these people have become stronger. This is incredible. To a certain extent, this can be regarded as a weakened blood inheritance limit. Hiss. The thoughts in his mind made Orochimaru gasp. As long as any ninja village obtains this secret technique, its strength will be greatly improved. It seems that I still underestimated Ishihara's understanding. Orochimaru's heart couldn't calm down for a long time, thinking that he has always been called a rare genius in decades. But compared with Ishihara, I am too mediocre. Orochimaru's eyes flickered for a while. Recently, he has been studying curse seals and encountered quite a few problems. Perhaps Ishihara can be given a try. Orochimaru felt that as a teacher, he was responsible for giving questions to students. It's definitely not that he can't figure it out by himself. Ishihara quickly obtained the information and permissions promised by Orochimaru. Now, He can see some of Orochimaru's experimental data and even enter some laboratories. And you can check the information Orochimaru got. The first time he went to check the information. Did the Hyuga clan incident finally break out? Ishihara suddenly raised his eyebrows when he looked at the information content. The intelligence showed that the Cloud Ninja Village sent people to negotiate peace with Konaha a few days ago. However, the leader of the team stole Hinata, the eldest daughter of the Hyuga clan, at night, but was discovered by Hinata and killed on the spot. Not only did the Cloud Ninja Village not admit their mistake, but they threatened Konaha to hand over the murderer, otherwise they would start a war. The third Hokage actually gave in and agreed to hand over Hinata. In the end, Hinata Hazashi's twin brother, Hinata Hazashi, committed suicide and apologized for Hinata Hazashi on his behalf. Such a weak operation can still secure the position of the third Hokage. Sarutobi Hiruzen's methods are quite powerful. Ishihara clicked his tongue in surprise, but quickly put the matter behind him. He can't interfere with the situation in the ninja world now. The most important thing is to improve his strength. Ishihara was about to get new information when he was suddenly startled. The reference room has an extra bookshelf that was not there originally. Curse seal. Ishihara's heart moved, and he hurriedly stepped forward to pick up a scroll to check. My pupils suddenly shrank. It's indeed the research data on curse seals. He didn't care to think about why the information was here, and raced against time to check the internal information. Because in his plan, immortality, or natural energy, is his key research object. Both the Toad Immortal and the Snake Immortal are living examples of immortality. If you want to live forever in the ninja world, apart from crooked ways like the sacred tree, the only way to go is celestial magic. So getting in touch with natural energy was Ishihara's plan from the beginning. Now that the opportunity has come, how could he let it go? Open the scroll. Ishihara began to read the above content eagerly. Although Orochimaru's current research on curse seals and natural energy is still at the experimental stage, it has actually achieved results. The curse mark on Hongdo's body is the best proof. You read the information about curse seals and natural energy, and you created the Kung Fu Demon Tattoo. Devil Tattoo. When turned on, it can help you automatically absorb natural energy, and can also be imprinted on other people as a control core. Absorb natural energy. After Ishihara accepted the information in his mind, his eyes widened in shock. Isn't this the way to immortality that he has been pursuing? He immediately used the demon tattoo without thinking. Moment. He felt itchy on his back, and a strange eye-shaped tattoo quickly formed. Buzz. Then he felt the natural energy, surging, powerful, and massive. At this moment, he seemed to be integrated into nature, and natural energy began to flow into his body. The natural energy continued to increase, and soon reached a level that was in balance with the chakra in Ishihara's body. Just when he was worried, the natural energy suddenly stopped increasing. Automatically balanced. Ishihara was a little surprised. He didn't expect that the demonic tattoo had such hidden advantages. He came to the mirror to check his status, and suddenly raised his brows. I saw that his eyes turned golden at this time, and were surrounded by golden eye shadow. There is also a hint of gold between his eyebrows, making him look extremely noble. Apart from that, there are no other changes on his body. Perfect immortal mode. A word suddenly flashed in Ishihara's mind. He could feel that his physical fitness had been greatly improved, both in strength and speed. This feeling is like completely turning into another life. Ishihara took a deep breath. This state is very powerful, but this is not what he is looking for. Next, he released the Sage mode. Instantly, all the natural energy dissipated. Strength and speed all returned to the previous level. Ishihara was a little disappointed. This was too far from the immortal method he had imagined. My body is just a storage of natural energy. However, this is a good start, and the prototype of the immortal technique has been formed. The next step is to try to merge the natural energy with the body. After Ishihara calmed down, he continued to read the information about the curse seal. After reading it, he also understood where Orochimaru was stumped. The curse seal was formed by Orochimaru using Jugo's immortal ability, plus his own chakra, and then changing the technique. Jugo's chakra, which can be immortal, is extremely violent. Even Orochimaru's own chakra cannot suppress it, let alone occupy a dominant position and merge with his own chakra. Maybe this research will also be useful for me to create immortal techniques. Ishihara was thoughtful. As for Orochimaru's problem, it was not a problem for Ishihara, who had already mastered the heavenly demon tattoo. You said you solved the problem of the curse seal. Orochimaru stared at Ishihara in disbelief, not hiding his shock. Ishihara was very calm. Yes, it's not very difficult. Through this curse seal incident, he suddenly woke up. That is, if he wants to grow quickly, he needs a lot of important and confidential information and experiments. And now only Orochimaru can provide him with these. So being a genius is not enough, he must perform well enough to shock Orochimaru. Only in this way can Orochimaru help him grow. Now it seems that the effect is not bad. Not difficult. Orochimaru licked the corner of his mouth and felt his throat dry when he looked at him. For the first time, he felt frustrated. Even when he saw the genius of the Uchiha clan showing the horror of the Sharingan, he just felt excited, without any frustration, but extremely eager. But now, looking at Ishihara, he really felt the insurmountable gap between the two. The smarter the person, the more they can feel the fear brought by this gap. And Orochimaru is just such a person who can feel fear. So much so that he lost his voice. Ishihara looked at the silent Orochimaru and said calmly, "Yes, these problems are not difficult. The difficult part is immortality, but I believe that this will not be difficult for me." At this moment, his little face was full of confidence. As long as the hook of immortality is there, Orochimaru will never attack him. And he only needs to constantly prove himself and improve his strength in this process. Which is enough to make Orochimaru cooperate with him with all his strength. The two of them are just using each other. "Oh, do you have any ideas?" Orochimaru was refreshed and asked impatiently. Ishihara laughed in his heart. "As expected, since you want immortality, both the body and the soul must be immortal. For the bodybuilding skills I created are the prototype of the secret technique of immortality. As for the soul, I need to learn more about illusions and souls." Orochimaru's eyes flickered slightly when he heard this. Although he is now studying the technique of reincarnation, he also wants both the soul and the body to be immortal. It's just that he couldn't do it before. But now, he seems to have a chance. Orochimaru took a breath and his eyes gradually became firm. If it were Ishihara, it might not be impossible. If the secret method of longevity is really developed, then it is worth it no matter how much effort is made. I will give you enough information. Hearing Orochimaru's words, Ishihara smiled in his heart. Okay, I hope you won't let me down. Of course not. Ishihara's life has returned to the previous track. Every day he is either reading, studying, or reading. As time goes by, his body grows rapidly, 5 centimeters a month. It makes Orochimaru dumbfounded. During this period, Ishihara began to deliberately learn knowledge about illusions and souls. Just as he said to Orochimaru, he not only wants to live forever in the flesh, but also in the immortality of the soul. Illusion tree binding killing. Illusion this is not that technique. Illusion darkness walking technique. All kinds of illusions have become his foundation and aura, constantly flashing in his mind. Until this day, you have observed a lot of illusions and soul knowledge, and you have created. You have observed a lot of illusion and soul knowledge, and you created the crystal visualization method. Crystal visualization method. By visualizing crystals, you can improve your mental power, soul power, illusion resistance, increase illusion power, and increase soul life. Ishihara put down the illusion scroll in his hand and let out a long breath. This was the first time he had studied in a targeted manner, and now it seems that the results are pretty good and he has achieved his goal. In particular, the effect of the crystal visualization method simply couldn't satisfy him. It can even increase the life of the soul. This time I've made a lot of money. Ishihara was a little excited. Although he had learned a lot of knowledge related to the soul, he still only knew the basics of the soul. But now he could vaguely feel his mental power, and soul life. 200 years. At that moment, he hurriedly closed his eyes and began to practice the crystal visualization method. Buzz. In a dark and illusory space, a crystal clear crystal slowly emerged and began to rotate slowly. After opening his eyes, Ishihara let out a long breath and wiped the cold sweat from his forehead. The difficulty of the crystal visualization method was greater than he had imagined. Just completing the most basic forms and movements made him feel exhausted. But it was precisely because of this that he improved more. And just after the first practice, his spiritual power had undergone a qualitative change, and the magnitude increased dramatically. In the next few days, Ishihara focused on testing the crystal visualization method. The crystal visualization method has a very obvious effect on the improvement of mental power. Stepping out is much worse for soul power, and the increase in soul life is not as good as the consumption. Ishihara thought for a long time and let out a long breath, gradually calming down. I am too anxious. This has just begun. There is no need to be so anxious. And there are gains. Ishihara felt the chakra in his body increase by who knows how many times, and his mentality was finally balanced. Then he fell into thinking. Now there are physical training methods and spiritual training methods. It is probably difficult to make greater improvements in a short period of time. So, it's time to learn some ninjutsu to protect the way. Thinking of this, Ishihara took out a few illusion scrolls and started to learn. Before, he only learned the principles and knowledge, and did not try to perform them. So this is actually his first time to learn ninjutsu in the true sense. Illusion. This is not that technique. Ishihara made seals with both hands and successfully learned without any surprise. Illusion tree binding kill. Illusion fox heart technique. Illusion Kasumi servant technique. Illusion Naraku vision technique. Illusions were performed by Ishihara, effortlessly, without any difficulty. As he mastered more and more illusions, the light in Ishihara's mind began to flicker and collide. You have learned a lot of illusions and got inspiration from them. You created the secret technique illusion space. Illusion space. Unmarked illusion. After being performed, you can pull the enemy into the illusion space composed of multiple illusions. Possess the ability of multiple illusions at the same time. A lot of information poured into Ishihara's mind. He nodded with satisfaction. The illusion space only needs to use its own mental power or chakra perception ability to capture the enemy's chakra existence, and then it can pull the opponent into the illusion space. Compared with the illusion of the Sharingan, it is undoubtedly more difficult to defend. More importantly, as Ishihara's mental power increases, the power of the illusion space will become stronger and stronger. As soon as the thought moved, the illusion space was activated. Buzz. Ishihara raised his eyebrows. He actually sensed chakra nearby. Outside the data room, Orochimaru was leading Jugo past. After confirming that Ishihara had completely solved the problem of the curse seal and could conduct the curse seal experiment, Orochimaru immediately went to another secret base to transfer Jugo. Next, he needed to conduct a lot of experiments and needed Jugo. Jugo, don't worry, I will help you solve your troubles. Looking at Jugo, who was a little uneasy, Orochimaru comforted hoarsely. Although he also expected Ishihara to create the secret technique of immortality. But now he still focused on his own reincarnation, leaving a way out for himself. The curse seal is the most important part of the reincarnation, and Jugo is the source of the curse seal, so he also attaches great importance to Jugo. Is it really possible this time? Jugo looked at Orochimaru expectantly. Because of his special physique, he would kill impulsively once he was emotionally excited. He had hurt many people unintentionally since he was a child, which made the kind-hearted Jugo feel very guilty. So he had been locking himself in a cage to prevent himself from hurting others. Until he met Orochimaru, he saw a little hope. Of course, believe me, Jugo. Orochimaru narrowed his slender snake pupils and touched Jugo's head. He was somewhat confident, and now with the help of Ishihara, he didn't think that the two of them would not be able to solve Jugo's problem together. Jugo nodded heavily, somewhat happy. But, at this moment, Jugo felt his eyes blurred and appeared in an unfamiliar environment. What's going on? His mind was still a little confused, but his body's defensive instinct seemed to sense the crisis and immediately began to fight back. Jugo's body began to swell, his height increased dramatically, and his skin turned dark brown. His whole face became as ferocious as a beast and roared. Roar! What's going on? Orochimaru's face changed slightly. At this moment, the door of the data room opened. Ishihara came out and looked at Jugo with a surprised look. It turned out to be him. No wonder he has such violent chakra, but it's not enough to block my illusion. Go to sleep. Ishihara, who understood the situation, directly increased the power of the illusion. The next moment, Jugo's eyes rolled back, and he fell to the ground with a plop, and his body gradually returned to its original state. Is this an illusion? Orochimaru looked at Ishihara in shock, and was horrified in his heart. How is it possible? At such a close distance, he didn't even notice that Ishihara had cast an illusion just now. If this was in a battle. Thinking of this, Orochimaru couldn't help but feel cold in his heart. Orochimaru narrowed his eyes. I don't think I've seen this illusion before, Ishihara. Ishihara said calmly, this is a new illusion I developed. Orochimaru's mouth twitched. I just went out for a trip, and you actually developed a new secret technique. No matter how talented you are, this is a bit too incredible. Ishihara, who has adapted to his extraordinary understanding, didn't notice it, but looked at Jugo curiously. Who is he? Orochimaru briefly introduced Jugo's identity. He will live here for a while, don't worry, as long as you don't provoke him. Forget it, don't play him badly. Orochimaru wanted to remind Ishihara of Jugo's danger. But thinking of the scene just now, he felt that his worry was a bit redundant. It's better to worry about Jugo's safety. What if Ishihara really screwed her up? Orochimaru's heart skipped a beat. How about we change Jugo's base? Ishihara suddenly became anxious. There is natural energy in Zongwu, which is simply the best material for his own study of immortal magic. How could it be taken away? He hurriedly patted his chest and promised, don't worry, I will take good care of him. Orochimaru hesitated but nodded. After all, Ishihara has never been in trouble, so he is trustworthy. In the near future, I will be conducting experiments on curse seals deep in the base. You can go and see what you want to learn. Orochimaru warned with some worry. Ishihara's eyes suddenly lit up when he heard this. Can I go see the curse seal experiment? Orochimaru frowned. As a key part of the art of immortal reincarnation, the curse seal is his top secret. But considering that the curse seals were all completed by Ishihara, it seems that there is no secret at all. He took a deep look at Ishihara, and there seemed to be some expectation in his eyes. Okay, but you have to be mentally prepared. Ishihara raised his eyebrows and nodded calmly. Just then, Zongwu woke up, got up quickly, and then lowered his head in self-reproach. I'm sorry, Orochimaru-sama, I just ran away again. As he said this, he glanced at Ishihara, as if he was worried about hurting someone. Orochimaru touched his head and said with a smile. Don't worry, Jugo. It was Ishihara who stopped your rampage just now. Zongwu's eyes suddenly lit up. Really? Although Orochimaru could stop him from going berserk, Orochimaru was too busy to watch him. If there is someone else who can do it, then I can move freely just by following that person. Ishihara said calmly. Wouldn't you know if you go berserk again? Zongwu nodded heavily. Okay. Anyway, Orochimaru was there to stop him, and he could run away without any scruples. Ishihara looked at Jugo expectantly. This special person has natural energy in him. Roar. With a low drink, Zongwu's body changed dramatically again. His personality became extremely violent, and he burst out laughing with excitement. Ha 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 ha, who are you going to kill this time? What a despicable form of immortality. Ishihara frowned in disgust, and then used the illusion space binding technique. Buzz. In an instant, Jugo's body froze on the spot and he roared angrily, asshole, who tied me up? I'm going to kill you. You actually stopped Jugo with only genjutsu. Ishihara, you really exceeded my expectations. Orochimaru's pupils suddenly shrank when he saw this scene. I was extremely shocked. The power of this illusion is definitely not comparable to ordinary illusions. Ishihara did not speak, but walked directly to Jugo's side, put his hand on his shoulder and began to study. He could clearly feel the natural energy in Zongwu's body. Tyrannical, violent. It was like a bomb that was rushing through Jugo's body. He even wondered why Zongwu's body didn't explode. Interesting, so much fun. Ishihara's eyes sparkled and he started studying excitedly. In sage mode, his body is more like a reservoir of natural energy. The natural energy was not integrated with his body, only with chakra. But now Jugo is completely different. The natural energy is completely integrated with his body. But it became extremely violent. It's as if this kind of energy will become taboo after being fused with the physical body. The activity of cells has increased explosively. If this state is maintained, lifespan will definitely increase significantly. Ishihara was very excited. He firmly believes that the integration of natural energy and body is the path to immortality. The Toad Immortal and the White Snake Immortal of Long Cave are the best proof. After some research, Ishihara let out a long sigh. This cannot be accomplished in a short time. And he has already gained something. You studied the natural energy in Zongwu's body, and you deduced the reverse curse seal. Reverse curse seal. A special curse seal that can prevent the curse seal from functioning and prevent natural energy from entering the body. What's wrong? Orochimaru has been looking at Ishihara, and he wants to know what Ishihara wants to do. I see the hope of immortality in Chongwu. Ishihara did not hide anything and said it directly. A gleam flashed in Orochimaru's eyes. This coincides with his thoughts. The reason why he used Zongwu to study the curse seal was because he saw the White Snake Immortal who had lived for thousands of years in Longdi Cave. Now it seems that Ishihara has the same idea as himself. Unfortunately, the natural energy in Zongwu is too violent and cannot be controlled at all. Orochimaru sighed. Ishihara said calmly, "Although I can't control it for the time being, I can prevent natural energy from entering Jugo's body." What? Orochimaru was stunned for a moment, unable to react. You can think of it as the opposite curse seal of a curse seal. I call it the reverse curse seal. While Ishihara explained, he began to infuse his own chakra into Jugo's body. After the chakra entered Jugo's body, he was immediately rejected. Ishihara hurriedly controlled his chakra to quickly merge with Jugo's own chakra to form a new curse seal, which is the reverse curse seal. Buzz. Instantly, a circular pattern composed of a curse seal appeared on Jugo's neck. Then, in Orochimaru's shocked eyes, the violent aura on Jugo's body began to subside, the natural energy gradually dissipated, and Jugo's body quickly returned to its original state. You actually solved Jugo's problem. Orochimaru was a little out of control. After all, this was something he wanted to do but didn't do. But he watched Ishihara do it just by studying Jugo's body. This, even though he had a similar experience before. At this moment, Orochimaru still felt a little frustrated. Is the gap between me and Ishihara so big? Orochimaru was a little stunned. I'm fine. Jugo looked at Ishihara in astonishment and asked hurriedly, "What did you do to me?" Ishihara pointed to the curse seal on his neck and explained. This is the reverse curse seal. It will prevent natural energy from entering your body. Natural energy is the real reason for your rampage. Jugo looked at Ishihara in disbelief and trembled. That means I don't need to worry about rampage in the future. That's right. Ishihara nodded and continued. The reverse curse seal has only one form. After it is turned on, you will return to your previous state and can go rampage at any time. That means you can control your rampage now. Jugo was stunned. I can really get rid of my past life in the future and live like a normal person. This is just like a dream. Ishihara saw that the two were still in a daze, so he turned around and left. His research on Shigeki just now gave him a lot of inspiration, and he needed to go back and write it down as soon as possible. He stopped again after just 2 steps, turned his head and looked at Shigeki who was following him and frowned. "Why are you following me?" Shigeki said seriously. "You helped me solve the problem of running away, I will follow you in the future." Ishihara raised his eyebrows. Although he needed to study Shigeki, he really didn't like being followed. At this time, Orochimaru also woke up and looked at Ishihara with a complicated look. Let him follow you in the future. Unconsciously, his attitude also changed, and he had already treated Ishihara as an equal to himself to communicate. Okay. Ishihara hesitated, but thought of Shigeki's importance in his plan and finally nodded. Shigeki scratched his head happily, and then followed Ishihara to the data room. He didn't have permission to enter, so he stood guard at the door. In the next few days, the whole base was busy. One after another, people were taken into the depths of the base like prisoners. Orochimaru, you will die. Asshole, I'm going to kill you. Orochimaru, don't forget what you promised me. Some of these people were forced to come, and some came voluntarily, with different expressions. But the arrival of these people undoubtedly made the whole base lively. Ishihara could hear roars and screams coming from the depths of the base every day. Orochimaru suddenly became busy, and he was not seen for nearly a month. During this time, Ishihara was also busy. Busy studying Jugo. Now enter the rampage state. Okay, you can stop. Ishihara found a room and quietly watched Jugo enter the rampage state and return to the original state. There was a pile of experimental equipment in front of him. At this moment, Ishihara was looking at the skin taken from Jugo in the rampage state with a microscope. At the same time, he cast the illusion space and used his own perception ability to carefully sense the chakra on the skin. The skin has become a stratum corneum, and it has changed dramatically in a short period of time. The hardness of the stratum corneum has changed fundamentally, and even includes the chakra meridians. But the cells have clearly undergone a division far beyond the normal level, but Jugo's lifespan has not decreased. No, the chakra has also changed. Ishihara checked the information while observing Jugo's cells. Whenever the natural energy in it dissipated, he would let Jugo enter the rampage state again to re-extract the cell tissue. Time passed quickly in the research of forgetting to eat and sleep. Until this day, you carefully studied Jugo's body and understood the principle of the curse seal state. You created the fairy art petrification. Fairy art petrification. The skin quickly splits, forming a layer of stratum corneum that is extremely hard than iron and stone on the surface, greatly improving the defense. You studied Jugo's curse seal state and understood the flow of chakra, and you created the explosive secret art. Explosion secret technique. After use, you can force the restriction of chakra meridians to be opened, greatly improving the output capacity of chakra. You carefully studied the flow of natural energy in Jugo's body, and understood how natural energy merges with cells. You created the Immortal Law Guidance Technique. Immortal Law Guidance Technique. It can absorb natural energy and combine with body cells, greatly improving physical fitness. Side effects. Emotions will become violent and bloodthirsty. It is not recommended to use it. The continuous reminders made Ishihara breathe a sigh of relief, and he stopped the research to check the harvest. The 3 secret techniques are all defective and not suitable for me to use at all. But I can use them to report to Orochimaru. Ishihara shook his head and had no intention of using these 3 secret techniques at all. He looked up at Jugo, who was standing honestly at the door, and waved. Jugo hurried over and looked at him seriously. How is the physical training that I gave you before? Ishihara asked as he took out a blank scroll to write. Jugo said excitedly, I have learned it. I can eat 10 buckets of rice and dozens of kilograms of meat every day. My height has increased by several centimeters in the past few days. Ishihara nodded at Jugo, who was obviously much bigger, and handed him the scroll he had written. You should learn these secret techniques recently. These defective products are more suitable for those who use curse seals. Yes, Jugo took these secret techniques solemnly without any rebuttal. Since Ishihara solved the problem of rampage, he is now almost obedient to Ishihara. As long as Ishihara asked him to do it, he would not hesitate at all. At the same time, deep in the base, Orochimaru's curse seal experiment also began. Deep in the base, Orochimaru planted curse seals for all his experimental subjects. After the bodies of these experimental subjects adapted to the curse seal, they were ordered to conduct targeted exercises. In this process, a large number of experimental subjects died because they could not withstand the violent power of the curse seal. A large number of corpses were transported away every day. But all the survivors had a surge in strength. Just when they were excited, Orochimaru appeared again. But his expression was a little cold and his face was ugly. The quality of these experimental subjects is too poor. They are not worthy of being my containers at all, let alone using the curse seal created by Ishihara. With the comparison of Ishihara, his requirements for containers in his heart naturally increased. Looking at these experimental subjects, he felt that if he really used the corpse reincarnation technique to enter their bodies, he would definitely be laughed at by Ishihara. Trash, all of you die. Below, the people who survived by chance were still cheering excitedly. But the next moment, Orochimaru directly launched the curse seal and killed everyone. Suddenly, those people were involuntarily cursed, mutated, deformed, and even their bodies exploded. Ah, asshole, Orochimaru, you are not trustworthy. I curse you, I curse you to die a miserable death, I curse you to be betrayed. Countless shrill screams came from the depths of the base. Blood covered the entire depths of the base, and countless broken bodies covered the ground. But Orochimaru was unmoved. I need more and better geniuses. Although the first experiment failed, Orochimaru also learned a lesson and understood what he should do. During the experiment, he has completed the development of the corpse reincarnation technique. Now, as long as he finds a suitable container, his dream of immortality can be realized. Ah! Shrill screams came from the depths of the base. The atmosphere of the entire base became darker. Ishihara was not affected at all, and was reading and studying seriously. He was holding a scroll of thunder release ninjutsu and reading it. He wants the immortal method of longevity. He also wants the technique of protecting the way. The scroll in his hand recorded the information about the Cloud Ninja Village's ninjutsu that Orochimaru had collected during the war. The first step of the immortal method is to merge natural energy with the body, so that the body can transform into an immortal body. The Cloud Ninja Village's ninjutsu has similar functions. Maybe we can try to start with ninjutsu. The power of ninjutsu lies in the use of lightning escape to comprehensively improve physical fitness and reaction ability. He tried to deduce the Cloud Ninja's ninjutsu according to the incomplete information. A trace of lightning escape chakra began to surge and flicker on his body surface. Chila, Chila, he could feel that some of the lightning escape chakra entered the cells. And this is why the body's activity can be greatly increased. As he kept adjusting, the lightning escape chakra on his body surface became more and more, and he looked like the source of thunder, and thunder kept splashing out of his body. Demon tattoo. Buzz. Instantly, a large amount of natural energy poured into Ishihara's ground, and the lightning became brighter and more violent. The dark basement was illuminated brightly. Ishihara also felt a small amount of natural energy entering his cells along with the lightning chakra. His body activity soared again. You read a lot of information on lightning ninjutsu and ninjutsu, and created the lightning ninjutsu fairy method, lightning body. Countless information poured into his mind. In an instant, Ishihara understood the entire principle of lightning body and immediately used it. This time, the violent lightning burst out from his body in an instant, constantly entwining his body. Just like the god of thunder. The terrifying pressure made Chongwu at the door look sideways, and the next moment he widened his eyes in shock. I saw a flash of lightning, and Ishihara had disappeared on the spot. There was even no trace of Ishihara in the entire secret room. Only the occasional flash of lightning in the secret room seemed to prove that there was still someone in this secret room. But the naked eye could not see it at all. Gulp. Chongwu swallowed his saliva, and was horrified in his heart. This speed is completely incapable of being captured by the naked eye. Too terrifying. What kind of ninjutsu is this? But Ishihara didn't care, but stopped very calmly and released the state. Then he closed his eyes and carefully realized his own state, with some surprise in his heart. Not bad, not bad, my physical fitness has actually improved. This state is like thunder body refining, but this time it's not just lightning chakra, but also natural energy. That's why there is such an obvious improvement. Although there is still no sign of natural energy and cell fusion in the body. But Ishihara can feel that his body is gradually adapting to natural energy. It's not far from the real fusion. Ishihara felt a little pity in his heart. Because this secret technique is not very difficult. It's just that the risk is too great. If you are not careful, your body will be eroded by natural energy. No one except him and Chuwu can control it. Looking at Chuwu at the door, he wrote down the thunder body and threw it over. Master this secret technique as quickly as possible. Yes, Lord Ishihara. Chuwu took the scroll respectfully and nodded solemnly. He wanted to be Ishihara's assistant and be useful to him. But seeing Ishihara's growing strength, he couldn't help at all, which made him feel a little disappointed. Now that the opportunity has come, he will naturally grab it. Teacher, are you going to leave the base for a while? Ishihara looked at Orochimaru in surprise. Orochimaru nodded tiredly. The experiments in recent times have exhausted him physically and mentally. That's right, the talents of these experimental subjects are too poor. I need better talents. Ishihara raised his eyebrows. Is this the reason why Orochimaru became a human trafficker? If he remembered correctly, Orochimaru should have met Akatsuki in the near future. But he is not very interested in joining Akatsuki. Not to mention that he is not strong enough now and cannot be exposed. After joining Akatsuki, there were a lot of troubles, and they didn't help him much. As for the tailed beasts and the Samsara Eye, he could look for opportunities. So for the time being, he still needed Orochimaru to hold him up in front, and he couldn't let him get into trouble. After thinking about it, Ishihara took out a few scrolls and handed them to Orochimaru. Teacher, these are some secret techniques I developed recently, maybe they will be of some help to you. Snake Control Technique. Explosion Secret Technique. Crystal Visualization Method. Senjutsu Petrification Technique. Thunder Escape Immortal Technique. Thunder Instant Body. These scrolls were prepared by Ishihara in advance, but he was just hesitating whether to take them out. Now that I think about it, it's okay to give these secret techniques to Orochimaru. Just let him be his own experimental subject. As a reward for Orochimaru saving me, Orochimaru should be very grateful. After all, I am the most fair. Of course, the crystal visualization method is only a castrated version, without the ability to increase the lifespan of the soul, and the lightning body is also castrated. But even if it is a weakened version, the impact of this secret technique on Orochimaru is still extremely huge. Although the snake control technique seems to be the worst, it is also the most helpful to me now. This burst secret technique can actually burst out twice the strength directly, at least A level. And this petrification technique is actually a fairy technique. As long as it is S level. The effect of this lightning body is enough to be comparable to the ninjutsu of the Cloud Ninja Village. This is another secret technique of at least S level. The most important thing is that this crystal visualization method can actually improve mental strength and soul. It can't be evaluated with the existing ninjutsu level at all. Orochimaru is really a little unbelievable. In just 1 year, Ishihara not only developed the curse seal. He even developed at least 3S level or above ninjutsu. There may even be something hidden. Even though he has realized how terrifying Ishihara's talent is many times, he was also scared this time. Because he has never heard of anyone's talent being so terrible. He is not even on the same level as everyone he has ever met. These secret techniques should be useful to the teacher. Also, if the teacher wants to plant a curse seal on himself before taking action, just in case. Ishihara's expression remained calm. As he studied, he was getting closer and closer to the immortal method he wanted. He found that his mentality had changed and he was more confident. Because his strength has improved now, Ishihara thought, it seems that after the immortal method research is successful, I have to start improving my strength. Curse seal. Orochimaru's brows sank and his eyes became sharp. Although he made the curse seal, he never thought of applying it on himself. That's because once the curse seal is applied to the body, it will slowly erode the body. Even if it doesn't start. What's more, he also wants to learn the sage mode with his own ability. Ishihara did not urge him, but said calmly, after studying Jugo, my immortal method has already made some progress. It will take only a few years to solve the problem of natural energy eroding the body. So don't worry, teacher. I will solve the side effects of the curse seal. The immortal method has made some progress. Orochimaru took a long breath and his heart pounded. This is an immortal method that can make you immortal. The temptation for Orochimaru is self-evident. Although he really wanted to know Ishihara's question. The worst-case scenario is just changing a body. Orochimaru decided to believe Ishihara once. I hope you won't make me wait too long. Seeing that Orochimaru chose to believe in himself, Ishihara couldn't help but smile and bowed slightly. Please rest assured, teacher. Since you are going to be my experimental subject, I will naturally give you enough rewards. Teacher, please look forward to it. You will witness eternal life with your own eyes. Ishihara said secretly in his heart. The two looked at each other, and the relationship between them had undergone some subtle changes at this moment. But no one said it out loud. Orochimaru was a decisive person, and he turned around and planted the curse seal for himself. He stayed in the base for a while, and left after mastering the secret technique given to him by Ishihara. And Ishihara was completely immersed in the study of immortal arts. Time is like flowing water, passing in a flash. Orochimaru spent a lot of time looking for talents and geniuses in the ninja world. At the same time, his intelligence system began to develop on a large scale, and gradually investigated many secrets of the ninja world. Perhaps because his requirements were too high, the talents he wanted had not been found. But he noticed the existence of the Akatsuki organization. This mysterious and powerful organization aroused Orochimaru's curiosity, and he began to investigate further. Unexpectedly, it attracted the attention of the Akatsuki organization. This day, Orochimaru suddenly received a message from Ishihara. The immortal method is about to succeed. Good, good, good. Orochimaru laughed excitedly. He never thought that Ishihara could create a magic so quickly. He immediately rushed back. However, just as he passed through a forest, he stopped and looked forward with a serious expression. Two figures wearing red cloud and black cloak blocked his way. They were the Scorpion of the Red Sand and Tendo Pain, who were hiding in the Scarlet Flow Amber. I didn't expect that these eyes would be in the Akatsuki organization. Orochimaru looked at Tendo Pain and his heart sank. Although the Samsara Eye had an unparalleled temptation for him, it was also a huge pressure. Especially after learning more about fairy arts and natural energy. Orochimaru understood the horror of the Samsara Eye even more. It was definitely not something he could resist. Orochimaru, you are investigating us. The voice of the Scorpion of the Red Sand was full of murderous intent, and he was even more dissatisfied with Orochimaru for ignoring him. Although I am indeed very curious about the Akatsuki organization, my disciple comes to me for urgent matters. Can we talk about it another day? Orochimaru sighed helplessly. You don't have to go back. As for your disciples, I will also send them down to see you. Red Sand Scorpion said coldly, and directly untied Fei Liuhu, revealing the puppet's body. Orochimaru licked the corner of his mouth and said with some bloodthirsty. In that case, let's use it. I also want to see the legendary Samsara Eye. He knows only too well how powerful Ishihara's secret technique is. Even if you can't win, you can still escape. Pain's face darkened. Orochimaru, are you sure you want to attack us? No matter what your demands are, you must have a fight first to let me see your strength. Orochimaru stared at the Samsara Eyes with fiery eyes. Do it, Scorpion. Pain's expression darkened and he said coldly. I can't wait any longer. The Red Sand Scorpion directly took out the puppet of the third cage. The third cage died in your hands. Orochimaru's expression suddenly became serious. He had experienced the terror of the third cage, it was extremely difficult. Go to hell, Buzz. The Crimson Sand Scorpion directly maximizes the power of magnetic escape. In an instant, a large amount of sand and iron condensed in the air, and then suddenly exploded like a hedgehog. Whoosh! A series of extremely sharp steel spears blasted down towards Orochimaru. Orochimaru was caught off guard. Rumble, rumble. The heavy iron spear hit the ground and exploded like an explosion. The ground shook wildly, and smoke and dust flew. It's over, Red Sand Scorpion said confidently. Under a sudden attack, it was impossible for Orochimaru to avoid Sand Iron's attack. Pain did not speak, but quietly waited for the smoke to dissipate. Orochimaru was revealed lying motionless on the ground. Then, Orochimaru on the ground raised his head, then his mouth opened, and a pair of hands stretched out from inside. Another Orochimaru came out. He's not dead yet. The Red Sand Scorpion was a little shocked. Pain was not surprised. After all, he had the impression that the Sannin were very powerful and special. If he died so easily, he wouldn't be worthy of being called a Sannin. But I won't let you live next time. The Red Sand Scorpion was somewhat annoyed and controlled the third cage to attack again, and the sand and iron condensed in the air. I didn't want to use this trick at first. But since the enemy is the third cage and the Rinnegan, let me show you the moves developed by my disciples. Orochimaru said calmly. Red Sand Scorpion and Tiandao Pain were stunned. Then their expressions changed slightly. Curse seal, open. I saw Orochimaru's body began to be covered with black lines. The pale skin turned brown. What kind of weird move is this? The Red Sand Scorpion sneered. But Pain frowned slightly, he felt something was wrong. Weird moves. Orochimaru tilted his head and smiled. I hope you can still be so calm next time. Immortal technique. Lightning flash, open. Boom. As Orochimaru shouted loudly, a terrifying amount of chakra burst out from his body. Gray and bright thunder wrapped around his body, and the silver snake danced wildly. The red sand scorpion's heart skipped a beat. He felt a strong sense of crisis from Orochimaru. Under the influence of the curse seal, Orochimaru's character seemed to have become a lot more violent and arrogant. He tilted his head and stared at the red sand scorpion. Don't be scared. What? I'm going to kill you. Basilisk. The red sand scorpion immediately became angry when he saw his contemptuous eyes. But the next moment, Kai, a flash of lightning. Boom. The crimson sand scorpion felt a huge force coming from him, and his vision suddenly rolled over. He saw his puppet body exploded into pieces. What's going on? The red sand scorpion was horrified. He didn't understand why he was attacked even though he didn't see anything. So fast. Pain's expression changed drastically as he stood behind him. Perform moves as quickly as possible. Shinra Tenzhang. Boom. The terrifying repulsive force swept out in all directions crazily. Orochimaru, who was running at great speed, suddenly felt a terrifying force hit him, and his whole body flew backwards in an instant. What ability is this? Orochimaru stopped in place with a solemn expression. Pain also looked solemn. The extreme speed just now shocked him. If he hadn't reacted quickly, he might have been attacked. Orochimaru, it seems everyone underestimates you. Orochimaru laughed ferociously. Since you understand, then obediently hand over your Rinnegan. This was the first time he used the secret technique of lightning flash in actual combat. That kind of terrifying speed made him confident. Except for the fourth Raikage and Namikaze Minato, no one could keep up with his extreme speed. Even the reincarnation eye is the same. Therefore, the samsara eye is yours. Kai. In an instant, Orochimaru disappeared in place again. All things are attracted by heaven. Pain's expression turned cold. He felt Orochimaru's coveting of the Rinnegan eye. The murderous intention is in my heart. The black rod condensed from yin and yang was quickly held in front of him, and at the same time, the attraction from all directions suddenly began to tear apart. Buzz. Orochimaru's expression changed drastically as he was running at extreme speed. His figure was pulled towards Pain at an uncontrollable speed. The speed was so fast that such a short distance was beyond his control, and there was no time to take any other measures. He could only rely on his physical fitness after the curse seal was transformed and the thunder escape was activated to react quickly. A palm hit the black stick. The whole person passed by Pain and crashed into the depths of the forest with a bang. Go to hell. At this moment, the broken puppet reassembled into the appearance of the crimson sand scorpion and roared in annoyance. In an instant, a large amount of sand and iron poured down from the sky like a heavy rain. Completely cover the area where Orochimaru is. Brush. Orochimaru's figure appeared in the distance, ignoring the red sand scorpion and staring at Pain solemnly. Pull and repel, are these the special abilities of the samsara eye? And the black stick in his hand gives me a very bad feeling. One collision made him understand the tricky part of the samsara eye. But it's not impossible to deal with it. A gleam flashed in Orochimaru's eyes. There is a hidden highland not far from here. Nagato also felt a little troubled. Tiandao is not suitable to fight against this kind of extremely fast ninja. It seems that at least one of his abilities will be used today. On the battlefield, Orochimaru glanced at the recovered red sand scorpion and felt that there was some trouble. If it were just Tiandao Pain, he would have a way to solve it. But coupled with the magnetic escape of the third cage, it would be difficult to deal with. And he was eager to go back and witness the birth of Shanju. Forget it, I have already seen your strength. I still have to meet my disciples. Let's do this for today. After saying that, he turned around and left. Pain and the red sand scorpion hesitated for a moment, but did not pursue them. After all, it would be too difficult to keep Orochimaru with his extreme speed. The red sand scorpion was furious. How could Orochimaru's strength increase so much? Ju emerged from the ground and said quietly, didn't he just say that this is a secret technique created by his disciples? When did Orochimaru have such a powerful disciple? I want to see it with my own eyes. The red sand scorpion's heart surged with murderous intent. Zetsu continued to ask, we have found several bases of Orochimaru, and we have also found Konaha ninjas nearby. Do we want to disclose the information to them? Pain said calmly, it's up to you. Ju, then I'll go to the theater. Pain glanced at the red sand scorpion and said, Orochimaru has not been successful in recruiting. Let's continue to find the next target. Not far from the base where Ishihara is located. Konaha's Anbu and Root organization people are taking action here. Someone found traces of Orochimaru here recently. Everyone, please be careful. Kakashi, who was leading the team, warned in a deep voice. He understood how terrifying Orochimaru was. No matter how careful he was, he could never be too careful. Call out. A kunai suddenly shot out. Who is it? Kakashi grabbed it and looked carefully, but found no trace, but found a piece of paper tied to the kunai. After checking it, Kakashi opened it and his expression suddenly changed. The detailed location of Orochimaru's base. Brush. In an instant, the expressions of the other Anbu and others also changed. Although they didn't know who leaked the information, they couldn't sit idly by after receiving the information. Kakashi and the leader of the Root organization looked at each other. Without any further delay, act now. You carefully study Jugo's body, carefully understand the demon tattoo and the thunder body, and you create the immortal method and the immortal human body cultivation method. The immortal human body cultivation method. Baptize the body with natural energy, and eventually the body will completely transform into an immortal human body that can integrate natural energy. Forged into the human body of an immortal, with a lifespan of 3,000 years. Continue to improve and you can continue to increase your lifespan. 3,000 years old. Hiss. Even Ishihara couldn't help but gasp when he saw this number. The age he lived in his 2 lifetimes was only a little over 1% of 3,000. You can imagine what a terrifying number this is. Ha 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 ha. Even with Ishihara's indifferent nature, he couldn't help laughing heartily at this moment. 6 years since time travel. He can finally embark on the road to immortality. Although it is still just a fairy body. But he believed that as long as he continued to work hard, his body could be immortal and his soul could transcend time. Practice. Ishihara originally wanted to wait for Orochimaru to witness it. But now he couldn't wait any longer. He immediately began to practice the sage body training method. Suddenly, he felt the free natural energy in the air. These natural energies seemed to be summoned, slowly drifting towards his body, and then merged into his body. Chapter 11. And it began to flow along the chakra meridians, and then entered his body along the end of the meridians. Begin to merge with cells. Pop. Ishihara seemed to hear a crisp sound. The first cell that merged with natural energy was born. He could feel the terrifying vitality in that cell, which was completely different from the previous level, even the difference between heaven and earth. Completely 2 orders of magnitude. A joy like the evolution of life suddenly surged in his heart, making Ishihara feel extremely happy. As more and more natural energy merged into the body, more and more cells began to transform. The life energy in his body became stronger and stronger, and more terrifying. This is the real sage body. It is essentially not the same thing as the so-called sage body of the Uzumaki clan and the Senju clan. Even the state of Senju Hashirama after entering the sage mode is far from comparable to the sage body cultivated by Ishihara. Because one is still an ordinary body, but it is full of life energy. The other is to completely integrate natural energy into the body, allowing the body to evolve to the same level as natural energy. Just like the great toad sage and the white snake sage. It is a body that only an sage can possess. After an unknown amount of time, Ishihara stopped and fell into thought. I just tempered a very small part of my body. It will probably take several years for the whole body to transform into a sage body. But it's not that there is no way to speed it up. The idea of the sage body came from the great toad sage and the white snake sage. But in fact, there is only one person in the ninja world who is truly immortal, and that is Kagaya Hime, the 10 tails. So in fact, Ishihara's sage body also refers to the idea of the 10 tails body. If my idea is correct, as long as I master the blood limit, I should be able to speed up the completion of the sage body. So next, my focus will shift to the blood limit. In addition, the practice of the soul will also begin. Ishihara frowned slightly. In the ninja world, the soul is related to yin-dun, that is, illusion, pupil technique and other secret techniques. But now, he doesn't have these things in his hands. It would be nice if I could have a corpse of an Uchiha to study now. No, Orochimaru should have extra Sharingan in his hand. Ishihara suddenly remembered that Orochimaru had made a Sharingan arm for Danzo. Orochimaru must have a stock of Sharingan. Ishihara's brows relaxed. When Orochimaru comes back, he can start studying eye techniques. Learn a few ninjutsu to relax. He picked up a ninjutsu scroll and read it. It said S level, water style water break wave. At the same time, he secretly practiced the immortal body training method to absorb natural energy. You have read a lot of water style scrolls, you have learned water style water break wave, and you have created the water style secret technique water shock. Water shock. You can use any method, from your mouth, hands, etc., to instantly send out ultra high-speed impact water flow. Not bad. Ishihara raised his eyebrows. He didn't hate ninjutsu, but he hated the seals. Fortunately, he didn't need to seal. Just about to learn a few more ninjutsu. Suddenly, he felt several life forms approaching from afar through natural energy, and frowned slightly. Orochimaru's base has never had so many people come at once. Especially in recent times, almost no one has come in and out. It seems that this place has been exposed. Ishihara sighed, slowly got up, and prepared to move around. Friends come from afar, wouldn't it be fun to beat them up? Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Figures appeared outside Orochimaru's base. Looking at the closed door not far away, Kakashi looked around and said in a deep voice. According to the intelligence content, Orochimaru should not be inside now. So our goal is only the data and intelligence in the base, and we must resolve the battle as quickly as possible. Yes, everyone was on high alert. The enemy was Orochimaru, one of the 3 ninjas and the former pillar of Konaha. Even though he was not here, they still felt heavy pressure. Kakashi took a deep breath and said solemnly, if you find Orochimaru, evacuate immediately. He turned his head to look at Itachi who was following him, and said. Itachi, you stay with me. Yes, Itachi was also a little nervous. After all, this was his first time fighting a strong man of Orochimaru's level. Do it. Boom. As the detonating tag attached to the gate was detonated. The gate was broken. Swish. Kakashi and others rushed into the base quickly. Who is it? Enemy attack. Go and notify Lord Ishihara. Eliminate all invaders immediately. The people left behind in the base roared immediately. Dense footsteps came from the depths of the base. Leave a team to deal with them, Itachi and others will continue to go deeper with me. Kakashi just glanced at them, and then led people to rush into the depths of the base quickly. Tap 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 tap. In the long dark underground passage. Kakashi and others advanced quickly, and all the doors along the way were opened for inspection. Empty room, nothing, not even this, not even this. The Anbu and Root organization people moved forward quickly. Unexpectedly, there was no obstruction at all. It's too quiet, something's wrong here. There was visible nervousness on Itachi's face. Even if Orochimaru is not here, the defense here should not be so lax. Instead, it looks like a trap. Kakashi tightened his grip on the kunai in his hand and took a deep breath. Keep going deeper, everyone remains vigilant. He was also a little uneasy. But this is a mission involving Orochimaru, an extremely dangerous rebel ninja. As members of Anbu and the Root organization, they cannot give up. Eliminating the traitors is within the scope of their responsibilities. Otherwise, there will be no good fruits to eat after returning to Konaha. As they continued to go deeper, they gradually smelled the smell of blood. Kakashi immediately tensed up and said, we are almost reaching the core area, be more vigilant. If the information was a trap, then they would probably encounter Orochimaru. Thinking of Orochimaru's terrifying strength, Kakashi couldn't help but grit his teeth. Fight. The group's speed slowed down. They were wary of each other, hiding in the corners of the wall, and then quickly moved forward after finding that there were no enemies in front of them. There's someone ahead. Hidden. Kakashi roared, and everyone immediately hid in the horizontal passage. He looked forward and his eyes suddenly became focused. In front of me, I saw a large number of people carrying ninjutsu scrolls and experimental equipment deep into the base. He even saw a few corpses being carefully carried away. That fool Orochimaru really didn't stop his experiments. Kakashi was extremely angry. He has investigated Orochimaru's experimental base in the Land of Fire many times. Knowing how cruel and inhumane Orochimaru's experiments were, Countless living people were used as experimental subjects and eventually died miserably. Get started, grab the information, ping Z, and get the information as quickly as possible. Kakashi gave the order, and a group of people rushed out quickly. Bang bang bang. How could these ordinary ninjas be the opponents of Kakashi and others? They were easily eliminated. A group of people looked at the deformed corpse on the ground with chills in their hearts. What a tragedy. What experiment is Orochimaru doing? This monster. Even though they, as Anbu, had seen a lot of darkness in the ninja world, they couldn't help but feel extremely angry at this time. Orochimaru. A cold light flashed in Itachi's eyes. Although they haven't met yet, he has a very bad impression of Orochimaru in his heart, and he has already stirred up murderous intentions. Kakashi picked up the stolen scroll and looked at it, and couldn't help but feel horrified. Curse seal. What on earth is Orochimaru developing? He put down the scroll with an ugly expression, picked up another one to check, and suddenly his color changed with horror. After exercising according to the method for a week, the physical fitness has been significantly improved, and after a month it has been greatly improved. The amount of chakra has increased significantly, and the physical strength and speed have increased. Has Orochimaru's research on ninjutsu reached this level? Konaha is too far behind. Kakashi looked at the name of the scroll research report on strengthening skills in shock. The effect of physical exercise is simply incredible. Even when he saw it, he couldn't help but feel greedy and want it. What's more, this secret technique is extremely important to the entire village. Itachi stood behind Kakashi and also saw the contents on the scroll, feeling a little shocked. As expected of Orochimaru, he has researched the human body and chakra to this extent. Naturally, he also knew the effect of this secret technique on the village, and his heart suddenly started pounding. The captain of the root organization came over and saw the content on the scroll, and his breathing suddenly became rapid. He stared at Kakashi with red eyes and growled. This thing has a great impact on the village. We must get it, even if it costs all our lives. Anyone who is a ninja will understand the horror of physical training. That is a secret technique that can directly increase the entire combat power of a ninja village. If they knew it from other people, they would definitely not believe it. But this is Orochimaru's experimental data. It can't be fake. Kakashi took a deep breath and nodded heavily. I understand. He looked around and called everyone over. There were more than a dozen people in total. He said sternly with a serious face. Everyone, listen, the first goal of the mission has been changed to obtain the secret bodybuilding skill. Whatever it takes. Yes, everyone was awe-inspiring and looked solemn. They understood what Kakashi meant, that is, they must be prepared to die at any time during this mission. Wait a minute, there's something new. At this moment, Hirako Yamazaka, who had been searching for memories, changed his face and called out hurriedly. Kakashi and others' expressions changed slightly, and they looked over hurriedly. What's wrong? Yamanaka Hirako took a deep breath and said in disbelief. According to the information I have detected from their memories, the developer of the bodybuilding technique mentioned by Kakashi is most likely not Orochimaru, but Orochimaru's disciple, Ishihara. What? Kakashi and others looked shocked. With their knowledge, they naturally understand that physical training skills cannot be developed by ordinary people at all. If it was someone like Orochimaru who often conducts taboo experiments, they could still believe it. But Orochimaru's disciple, does he have so much experience and knowledge, and so many secret techniques accumulated? Everyone still has some doubts and confusion in their hearts. The captain of the root team said anxiously. The experimental data has proved the authenticity of the bodybuilding skills, so it doesn't matter who developed it. Let's get the bodybuilding skills first. Seeing that he was about to leave, Yamanaka Hirako hurriedly stopped him. No. He trembled in the astonished eyes of everyone. This Ishihara is very important. Very, very important. Even more important than the bodybuilding skills. In the shocked eyes of Kakashi and others, Yamanaka Hirako said in a deep voice. The mysterious man named Ishihara has not only developed a bodybuilding skill. In this memory, Ishihara has also developed an explosive secret technique that is enough to burst out twice the strength. There is also an illusion that shocked Orochimaru, and it is rumored to be at least S level. There is also a secret technique that can petrify the skin and is harder than iron and stone. There is also a terrifying lightning escape secret technique that is comparable to the ninjutsu of the Cloud Ninja Village. It is rumored that Ishihara can quickly absorb the energy in the blood and accelerate the growth of the body. It seems to be some kind of secret technique. Even they are privately speculating that there may be more secret techniques that they just don't know. Silence. Dead silence. Everyone widened their eyes in shock and stared at Yamanaka Hiriko. In their hearts, they were shocked. The captain of the root organization roared angrily. What a joke, Orochimaru has only been away from Konaha for 6 years. Do you want me to believe that someone can develop 5 or 6 secret techniques that are comparable to or even superior to bodybuilding skills in 6 years? And how could these cannon fodders under Orochimaru know this kind of confidential information? Hiriko trembled all over, looking at the depths of the base with a chill in his heart. Because this information was deliberately spread by a boy named Jugo. Although I don't know why he did this, have you ever thought about what if all this is true? A group of people looked at each other. If this is true, then that means that Orochimaru has a disciple with a terrifying talent that is inhuman. As long as he is given enough time, he can develop more S-level or even higher level secret techniques. If our Konaha can get these secret techniques. Huff, huff. A group of people breathed rapidly. Even the captain of the root organization who didn't believe it had red eyes at this moment. The most important criterion for a ninja's strength is the power of the ninjutsu they master. Even a person like Kakashi, who has an average amount of chakra, can also become much stronger after mastering multiple ninjutsu and developing reikiri. If Konaha can master so many S-level secret techniques, to what extent will Konaha's strength soar? No one can resist the temptation. Moreover, the Anbu is the group of people in Konaha who have been brainwashed the most by the will of fire of the third Hokage. As for the root organization, it goes without saying. As long as it is for Konaha, killing companions can be done, and sacrificing oneself is even easier. Even if it is just a possibility, it is worth their gamble. If they win, Konaha will become bigger. If they lose, they will just die in battle. The captain of the root organization looked at Kakashi. How to do it? Kakashi's face changed for a while. In the world of ninjas, the difficulty of obtaining intelligence and kidnapping a person is completely different. Moreover, they may face the pursuit of Orochimaru. But, if Ishihara really has such a terrifying understanding, can he really be let go? Kakashi already had the answer in his heart. His expression became firm, and he said sternly. The first goal of the mission has been changed to taking Ishihara alive. I want a living person. When necessary, I will cover the rear to stop the enemy. You retreat with the information. In addition, send the information immediately to notify Lord Hokage and Lord Danzo. Whether we succeed or fail, this information must be sent back immediately. Immediately. Yes, everyone was on high alert, and even began to take military ration pills to replenish their physical strength, recheck their equipment, and prepare for a deadly battle. He arranged for someone to leave immediately to send the information, then turned to look at Yamanaka Hiriko and said in a deep voice. I need more information about Ishihara. It would be best if I could get the information about the bodybuilding skills in advance. A person who can develop so many secret techniques must be very powerful. If they want to capture the other party alive in a short time, they must be prepared. The information about the bodybuilding skills was sealed by Orochimaru with a destructive curse, and it is impossible to obtain it. Yamanaka Hiriko shook his head, and hurriedly grabbed another person and began to perform a secret technique to read the memory. The whole passage fell into silence again. Everyone was looking at Yamanaka Hiriko anxiously. Although they attacked suddenly, they did not find any trace of Orochimaru for the time being. But once Orochimaru appears, all their plans will come to nothing. Now is the time to race against time. Yamanaka Hiriko also knew that the situation was urgent. His forehead began to sweat, his eyelids trembled wildly, and he kept muttering in his mouth. Hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. Suddenly, Yamanaka Hiriko opened his eyes and said with surprise. Got it, Kakashi urged. Speak quickly. Yamanaka Hiriko did not dare to delay, and hurriedly said, that Ishihara is only 6 years old, we can definitely take him away. 6 years old? Are you kidding me? Kakashi couldn't help but shake his head, feeling depressed and vomiting blood. He was ready to sacrifice himself, and now you tell me that a 6-year-old child did it. Do I dare to believe it? Everyone is like this. The roller coaster-like mood made the captain of the root organization curse angrily. Do you really believe it? Ah, a 6-year-old child can develop 5 or 6 secret techniques. Did he start developing them when he was drinking milk? But Yamanaka Hiroko was very excited. No, after I repeatedly compared this information, I am very sure that this is true. It may sound strange, but that child did not grow up drinking milk when he was a baby, but drank the blood of wild beasts. Either it's the blood inheritance limit, or it's some kind of secret technique. In short, Ishihara has been able to grow rapidly by drinking blood since he was a baby. You don't behave like a normal human being at all. And there is no need for Orochimaru to fabricate such lies in his own base, it will not do him any good. Kakashi calmed down and thought about it, frowned and said, there is really no reason for Orochimaru to do this. Are those secret techniques really created by a child? He was in disbelief. This is too incredible. Even a dream is not so outrageous. Itachi said calmly. Regardless of whether those secret techniques were created by Ishihara or not, if we want to obtain the bodybuilding skills, we can only go through him. Because Ishihara is a disciple of Orochimaru, he may not have a sealing seal planted on him. Kakashi and the others looked at each other and nodded. The mission goal remains unchanged. Let's start taking action. Let's go meet the mysterious Ishihara. Deep inside the base. At the moment of the explosion, Ishihara opened the door and said to Jugo, whose expression changed greatly. An enemy is coming, but they are not very strong. This time it is up to you to take action and test your mastery of the secret technique. Yes, Chongwu said loudly, not only not angry, but extremely excited. He has always wanted to do something to help Ishihara, but Ishihara is too strong and too smart, and there is no place for him to play a role. Now, the opportunity has finally come. He impromptu charged towards the enemy. Ishihara let go of his perception and stared at Jugo's situation, and then began to arrange for people to collect the information and scrolls. No matter who the enemy is, this base has been exposed and must be moved. Just in case, he had better be prepared. Tap 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 tap. Rapid footsteps sounded from deep inside the base. Kakashi and others' expressions changed, and they immediately stopped and looked ahead warily. Ready to fight. Everyone was staring ahead, feeling nervous. I want to see who the enemy is immediately. If the enemy is Orochimaru, then they may be in danger. The footsteps became louder and louder. The enemy is getting closer. Gudong. The tense atmosphere made people swallow their saliva. Whoosh. A figure appeared from a distance and rushed over at an extremely fast speed. The enemy is not Orochimaru. Kakashi felt certain and breathed a sigh of relief. Having fought with Orochimaru, he would not misremember the aura. Since it's not Orochimaru, then who is coming? Could it be the mysterious Ishihara? A gleam flashed in Kakashi's eyes and he stared straight ahead. Yamazaka Hiroko saw the person clearly and said hurriedly. It's not Ishihara, it's Jugo. Orochimaru's important experimental subject, the source of the curse seal. Be careful, he is very strong. Kakashi's expression condensed, and he could already feel a very terrifying chakra approaching. Brush. Jugo appeared in front of Kakashi and others. He was as tall as a teenager and stared at them with an angry expression. Asshole, you were the one who attacked our base. Kakashi and the others frowned. Is this being brainwashed? Kakashi felt heavy and said coldly, Orochimaru is a traitorous ninja of Konaha, we are here to capture him. You need to come with us too. Chongwu said angrily. Don't even think about it. Although he looks like a teenager, he is still a child at heart. He took a step forward and said excitedly, Master Ishihara asked me to deal with you, you are dead. Someone whispered, will Ishihara let Jugo come out as cannon fodder, but run away himself? Kakashi and others' expressions suddenly changed slightly. The people from the root organization even growled anxiously, stop talking nonsense to him and do it. After speaking, he rushed out directly. How dare you take action first? Curse seal transformation. Zongo angrily lifted the reverse curse seal and returned to his normal state. The sudden surge of emotions instantly triggered his murderous impulse. Instantly seal the curse. Boom. Violent chakra burst out from Jugo's body. His body also underwent drastic changes. The body became taller, the skin turned dark brown, and the appearance became a bit deformed. The terrifying chakra. Even without using perception ninjutsu, Kakashi and others can feel how terrifying it is. Monster. Is this the curse seal transformation? It's so strong. It's a bit outrageous to grab it. This amount of chakra is probably not worse than that of Hokage-sama, right? Kakashi and others looked at each other, their expressions solemn and a little excited. The power of the secret seems to be more powerful than they imagined. Kakashi mocked. Is this the only level of secret technique Ishihara created? Then you can't stop us. He saw that Chongo respected Ishihara very much and deliberately mocked and provoked hatred. Chongo was immediately angry. Don't regret it. Secret explosion technique. Boom. The amount of chakra in Jugo's body increased sharply again. Kakashi was horrified. Can that secret technique even double the amount of chakra at this level? Others looked even more crazy. If they could obtain such a secret technique, their strength would increase dramatically. It's not over yet. Immortal technique. Petrification technique. Immortal technique. Lightning flash. Buzz. Instantly, Jugo's skin became darker. At the same time, the terrifying thunder chakra burst out from his body. Kai, Kai, Kai. The thunder chakra is like a chain wrapped around Zongwu's body, like a silver snake dancing wildly. The bombardment hit the wall, instantly leaving a series of ferocious ravines. Jugo raised his head with a grin. Kill you all. Hiss. A terrifying sense of crisis surged into Kakashi's heart, and he roared at the top of his lungs, get away. The hairs all over his body stood up, and his eyes looked forward in horror. Except for Itachi and the captain of the root organization, no one else had reacted yet. Kaila. A flash of lightning flashed. Ah! Then a shrill scream sounded. Kakashi turned his head to look, suddenly jealous. I saw that several Anbu members behind him were almost cut in half, with half of their bodies shattered. I'm going to kill him. Kakashi roared in his heart, but the look he looked at Jugo was extremely solemn. Jugo's speed just now was too fast. He just relied on his body's instinct to dodge. All he saw was a flash of lightning, and the attack had been completed. My Sharingan only caught a trace. This guy is too fast. Kakashi stared at Jugo with his eyes fixed on him. It feels like he looks a lot like the fourth Raikage. He took a deep breath and whispered. Itachi, I need you to cooperate with me. Good, but the amount of chakra he has is too large and too violent. The time he can be controlled may be extremely short. Itachi understood and aimed his Sharingan at Jugo. Enough. Kakashi growled in his heart. First door, open the door, open. Boom. Powerful chakra also erupted from his body. Sharingan opens. Holding a Raikiri, he entered his strongest state. It sounds fast, but in fact it only takes a few seconds. Chongwu looked at them in surprise. You're not dead yet. Then do it again. Itachi suddenly shouted. Kill. Zongwu turned to look at him subconsciously. Sharingan Genjutsu. Itachi quickly activated his Genjutsu. Jugo fell into confusion for a moment. Chance. Kakashi immediately burst out and was in front of Jugo in an instant. Reiki thrust out. Kai. Thunder collided. I was blocked for a moment. Kakashi's expression changed, feeling something was wrong. At the same time, the captain of the root organization followed closely behind. Curse seal, binding sealing technique. Buzz. The curse seal instantly appeared on Jugo's body, causing the chakra on his body to become stagnant in an instant. Kakashi took action instantly. Poof. Got it. Succeeded. Kakashi felt the touch of flesh and blood, and felt a little frightened. It's so dangerous. Just now, my thunder attack was blocked by his thunder escape. He felt a little weird looking at the thunder wrapped around Zongwu. This is definitely a secret technique on the same level as Kumo Ninja's ninja technique. Ishihara's secret technique is too strong. If this person really exists, he must be brought back to Konaha. Once Konaha gets it, its strength will be greatly increased. Careful. Just when Kakashi was lost in thought, a hoarse roar woke him up. Kakashi suddenly came back to his senses, and a ferocious face came into view, and he felt a chill in his heart. Die. Chongwu grinned ferociously and roared, extremely violent. Then, in Kakashi's incredible eyes, he actually stuck his arm inside his body, grabbed his arm with both hands, and then moved closer to him. It can still move, what a monster. Kakashi was horrified and hurriedly increased the power of Reikiri. Chi. A loud, high-pitched scream sounded. It was like thunder exploding from Jugo's chest. Countless blood mixed with minced meat spattered out crazily. It looks extremely bloody. Chongwu looked extremely ferocious with blood on his face, but he was still moving forward resolutely. Near. Are you crazy? Do you want your life? Kakashi's pupils shrank suddenly, and he looked at this scene in horror, feeling chilled in his heart. If you let him get close, you will die. Kakashi, use genjutsu, then bind him with a curse seal, and then the cycle continues. Itachi yelled hastily. Kakashi didn't have time to think about the feasibility and immediately used his Sharingan to cast the genjutsu. Buzz. The 3 Magatama Sharingan, and the illusion cast by the Mangekyo Sharingan is not comparable to the one Itachi cast before. Instantly, Jugo's body froze. The captain of the root organization hurriedly realized the curse seal again, making Jugo's body unable to move at all. Kakashi cast another genjutsu to lower Jugo's resistance, and the root organization captain continued to apply the curse seal. The two of them kept going in circles, and even if Jugo struggled desperately, he couldn't move at all. Even the time between illusions and spells is getting longer. Finally, the captain of the root organization had enough time to cast the sealing technique. 5 elements seal. In an instant, the chakra in Jugo's body was sealed. The reverse curse seal automatically activated, allowing Zongwu to exit the curse seal state and return to his normal state. Ah, asshole, let me go. Jugo could only roar angrily, staring at Kakashi with eyes filled with rage. Be honest with me. Kakashi punched Jugo hard. What just happened is a long story, but it only happened in a moment. Thinking about the thrill of it now, Kakashi felt chills all over. Too dangerous. If Itachi hadn't had an idea at the critical moment, they might have all been destroyed in Jugo's hands. Even so, they still suffered heavy losses. Looking at the several mutilated corpses on the ground, Kakashi's expression was extremely ugly. He stared at Jugo and said sternly, "Tell me the information about Ishihara." Jugo growled, "Even if I die, I will never betray Lord Ishihara." Kakashi's face turned pale and he suddenly sneered. "It doesn't matter if you don't tell me, he's just a 6-year-old kid, I can take care of him with one hand." Jugo looked up at Kakashi, his eyes full of contempt and ridicule. "It's just you. It's so hard to defeat me, but you want to defeat Ishihara-sama who is 10 times and 100 times stronger than me. Ridiculous." The captain of the root organization and others suddenly showed joy. That Ishihara is really only 6 years old. As for Chongo's statement that Ishihara is 10 times and 100 times stronger than him, they don't believe it at all. But when Kakashi heard this and Itachi looked at each other, he suddenly got goosebumps all over his body when he saw Itachi's suddenly shrinking pupils, as if he had fallen into an ice cave. He was quite surprised by the intelligence and agility shown by Itachi in the battle just now. He is also the only person who can help him on this mission. Judging from Itachi's reaction, they may have guessed that the enemy's strength may be stronger than they imagined. "Senior, are you leaving or staying? If we leave now, we can still take Chongo with us. If we stay, we might all die." Itachi swallowed, stepped forward nervously and asked in a low voice. Kakashi's expression kept changing. The difficulty of the task exceeded his expectations, and getting Chongwu was far beyond his original expectations. But now he is unwilling to give up Ishihara, even if it means sacrificing himself. "You take Chongwu with you." Before Kakashi finished speaking, his voice suddenly stopped and he looked deep into the base in shock. There was a sound of footsteps there, not urgent, but approaching quickly. The strange sense of oppression made Kakashi feel extremely depressed and even more horrified. "The enemy is stronger than I thought." He took a deep breath, tightened his body, and said in a deep voice, "I'm afraid we can't leave now even if we want to, Ishihara is here." Itachi and the other survivors had already felt it without him needing to remind him. An inexplicable sense of depression enveloped everyone's hearts, and the pressure became more and more intense, making their breathing become rapid. They looked at each other in shock, and some even showed fear. There was no need to fight at all, and some people already wanted to give up. Tap tap tap. Slow but steady footsteps approached. A figure walked out of the darkness, illuminated by the lights on both sides of the passage. Kakashi and others were stunned. Because the person's temperament is so unique. The one who came out of the dust seemed like he shouldn't be in this world. They were all a little dazed for a moment. Chongwu lowered his head in shame. He failed to complete the task assigned by Ishihara. Ishihara looked at them calmly, and then at Jugo, who was pressed down by Kakashi and whose body was covered with curses and seals. Kakashi Hatake, get away from my friends. Now, seeing the familiar faces of Kakashi and Itachi, he naturally recognized each other. But he didn't care. Just two strangers. They have no aura to speak of here in Ishihara. Ishihara's voice suddenly woke everyone up. Before Kakashi said anything, the captain of the root organization pointed at Ishihara and roared angrily. Asshole, take a closer look, is this 6 years old? Kakashi and others looked at Ishihara speechless for a while. Ishihara was also startled by these words and looked a little dazed. It seemed that he hadn't taken a good look at himself for a long time. A gentle wave of his hand. Brush. In an instant, a mirror condensed by water appeared next to him, reflecting his entire body. But looking at the person in the mirror, Ishihara couldn't help but be stunned. That was a young man who looked about 17 or 18 years old. His long black hair was simply tied behind his back, his black eyes were extremely bright, his sword-shaped eyebrows and starry eyes were extremely handsome. What's more important is that he exudes a special temperament. Very much like the immortals in Ishihara's previous novels. But what really stunned him was his current appearance has finally returned to that of when he was 17 or 18 years old in his previous life. Ishihara knows one thing very well. Then even though he grew up from a baby in the eyes of others. But in fact, his body has become a baby, and now he is just repeating the process of growing up. And before he knew it, he had actually recovered to the appearance of 17 or 18 years old. Ishihara couldn't help but be a little absent-minded for a moment. He didn't make a seal just now. A water-style ninjutsu that I have never seen before. Kakashi and Itachi whispered at the same time, and the two looked at each other, their eyes trembling. With a wave of his hand, he performed a ninjutsu of obviously high level, let alone making a seal. He didn't even put his hands together like the first-generation Hokage. This was something they had never heard of before. After being baptized by natural energy, Ishihara's 5 senses were greatly improved. So the whispered communication between the two woke him up instantly. He directly ignored the Anbu who asked the question, looked at Kakashi and said calmly again. I say again, get off Jugo, Hatake Kakashi. Ishihara's eyes were calmly staring at Kakashi. An invisible pressure emanated from him. Buzz. What the hell is going on? Kakashi's hair stood on end, and he looked at Ishihara in horror, his heart horrified. Obviously, the other party did nothing, did not emit amazing murderous aura, and did not burst out terrifying chakra. He just stood there and stared at him calmly. But he felt like an ant being watched by a god, and his soul seemed to be trembling. It seemed to be a kind of pressure from a higher level of life. Although it was very faint, it made him shudder. Although Itachi and others did not have the same direct feeling as Kakashi. But they also felt a kind of terrifying sense of oppression. It was like a big stone was pressing on their hearts, heavy and stiff. The whole passage became dead silent. The oppressive atmosphere became heavier and heavier. It was as if the suppressed volcano could erupt at any time. It could reach the critical point at any time. This terrifying pressure made Kakashi and others sweat on their foreheads and their hearts pounding. What the hell is going on? Everyone was roaring and shouting wildly in their hearts. This heavy pressure even made them want to die. Crazy. I don't know when Choji had raised his head, and he smiled at the horrified eyes of Kakashi and others. I've said it before, Lord Ishihara is 10 times or 100 times stronger than me. You're dead. Shut up. No matter how powerful you are, you're just a 6-year-old kid. The captain of the root organization, who had long been unable to bear this oppressive atmosphere, roared, and his face behind the mask was already ferocious. Rather than being depressed in this depressing atmosphere, he would rather fight to the death. Kill. The captain of the root organization roared and rushed towards Ishihara frantically. Stop. Kakashi was horrified and shouted anxiously. Ishihara frowned and looked at the enemy unhappily. Illusionary space. In the past 2 years, Ishihara has never stopped practicing the crystal visualization method. Now his mental power and soul power have long been extremely powerful. The power of the illusion space has naturally been further improved. The moment it was used, the captain of the root organization was immediately hit. But he didn't realize it. In the captain's senses, he actually rushed in front of Ishihara. Incredible. It's incredible. The mysterious Ishihara who made him feel terrified was approached by him so easily. Die. The captain of the root organization grinned, stabbed Ishihara's heart with a short knife, and roared. Asshole, aren't you very powerful? Haven't you developed many secret techniques? Are you going to resist me? Ah. But Ishihara, who was stabbed by him, just looked at him calmly. As if looking at an ant. Asshole, don't look at me with that look. The captain of the root organization trembled all over. This look seemed to awaken the sense of depression he had just felt, making him roar wildly. Shut up. Ishihara frowned and opened his mouth, using the binding technique of illusion on the other party. In an instant, the captain of the root organization was shocked to find that he couldn't speak. In reality, Kakashi and others looked at the captain of the root organization who was standing not far in front of Ishihara and roaring wildly. When did he get hit by the illusion? Especially Itachi, staring at Ishihara with his eyes fixed, feeling incredible. The casting of any kind of illusion requires conditions. Even Shisui, who was the strongest illusionist he knew, needed to use the Sharingan to make the enemy fall into illusion. But just now he did not notice any details related to illusion from Ishihara. This completely overturned his understanding of illusion. I knew this guy was not so easy to deal with. Kakashi was already sweating all over his face, and he didn't even dare to look at Ishihara. He growled nervously, Itachi, I'll delay the time, you run. Without waiting for Itachi to respond, he quickly cast Reikiri, pressed against Jugo's body and threatened. Let Itachi leave, or I will kill him immediately. Itachi's face changed slightly, and he was somewhat moved by Kakashi's response. But, senior, you can't escape. Shut up. Kakashi roared angrily. Itachi was horrified to find that Kakashi was trembling all over at this moment. What he didn't know was that Kakashi felt a strong sense of restraint at this moment. Impossible. I was actually hit. How did he do it? I didn't look at his eyes. Was it the sound? Kakashi's mind was in a mess, but his hands did not relax at all. Because he knew very well that even if he was hit by an illusion, he could still move in reality. As long as he kept his posture, he might still have some bargaining chips. Itachi's face changed drastically, and he realized the problem, and his heart was cold. He couldn't even figure out how the enemy performed illusions, and this time he might really not be able to escape. Itachi couldn't help but feel a little desperate. Is he going to die? However, what was waiting for him was Ishihara's somewhat surprised voice. Oh, is this Reikiri? Ishihara was a little surprised. Because it was at the moment when Kakashi performed Reikiri. Congratulations on observing Kakashi perform Reikiri. With your powerful Raisu Ninjutsu foundation, you created the Raisu Palm Thunder. Palm Thunder condenses powerful Raisu chakra in the palm of your hand, has a powerful thrusting ability, and can cause a thunder explosion after collision. Nice move. After receiving the information in his mind, Ishihara was a little surprised. He likes the Raisu. That's why he started learning Raisu Ninjutsu when he was learning ninjutsu. And he studied it the most. He had tried Palm Thunder himself, but failed. There are even more secret techniques related to Raisu, which he has been exploring. It seems that today is a harvest day. Ishihara began to recall the experiments he had done before in the Raisu Ninjutsu he had mastered. At the same time, he performed Palm Thunder on the spot and began to deduce. Inspiration came. He didn't want to miss it. Maybe this time I will create one of my signature ninjutsu. Chila, Chila, the sound of lightning flowing sounded. Kakashi and Itachi looked at Ishihara in amazement, and a ball of lightning chakra appeared in his palm. It looked very similar to Reikiri. Is this Reikiri? Why can Ishihara perform it? What is going on? Kakashi shuddered suddenly, and his mind went blank. Reikiri is a ninjutsu he developed himself, and he did not teach it to anyone except the fourth Hokage. That is to say, now he is the only one who masters it in the world. It is impossible for Ishihara to have learned it before. But now the other party has performed it. That is to say, he just learned it. But I only performed it once in front of him. How is this possible? Kakashi was shocked, but also realized it, and swallowed his saliva with some difficulty. If that's true, then this guy's comprehension and talent are too terrifying. No wonder he can develop so many S-level and above secret techniques at the age of 6. If that's the case, isn't it natural? This monster. Although Itachi didn't know what Kakashi was thinking, he saw the clue from his expression, and his pupils suddenly shrank. Could it be that he just took a look at Reikiri and completely mastered it, and even made Reikiri even more terrifying? Itachi took a deep breath. Although it felt a little incredible, he would not limit his cognition. Because he clearly remembered that when he was learning the Great Fireball technique, and even when he was learning many low-level ninjutsu, he could also watch others perform it once and completely master it. This was a little incredible in the eyes of others, even in the eyes of his father Uchiha Fugaku. But that was just a low-level ninjutsu. Low-level means low difficulty to learn. But Reikiri is an S-level ninjutsu. Even a shadow-level strongman would have to spend a lot of time to master it. But what about the boy in front of him? Not only did he learn it at a glance, but he also innovated. This completely overturned all his previous cognition. Just as the two were thinking wildly in their hearts, Ishihara's deduction of thunder method has gone a step further. Boom! Suddenly, a loud bang woke Kakashi and Itachi up. The two looked at Ishihara in horror. The lightning in his hand was getting bigger and more terrifying. Even just watching, the two felt frightened. Not to mention the terrifying amount of chakra contained in the thunder ball, which made the two shudder. In such a short time, he has increased the power of the secret technique he just developed. No, we can't give him more time. This monster can't be measured by common sense. Maybe he can transform the secret technique in the next second. Kakashi's mind turned rapidly, and he gritted his teeth and roared. Stop it now. Don't use ninjutsu anymore, otherwise I will kill Jugo. But Ishihara was unmoved and said calmly. Kill him, all of you will die, and all the Konaha ninjas I meet in the future will also die. Kakashi shouted at the top of his lungs. I'm about to die, and I don't care about the lives of others, stop it now. You dare not, you won't let the whole Konaha fall into crisis because of me. Ishihara said calmly, but the thunder in his hand disappeared. He looked at Kakashi with interest and asked. It seems that you already know a lot of information about me, so you desperately want to stop me. Are you worried that I will develop a new secret technique? Kakashi just pursed his lips and said nothing. Itachi's face changed slightly, and he had a bad feeling. Sure enough, the next moment, what if I have already completed it? Ishihara looked at Kakashi with a smile, and calmly said something that shocked the two of them. This is impossible. No matter how talented you are, you can't complete a new secret technique so quickly. Kakashi shouted. Reikiri is the only secret technique he developed by himself. And it was a secret technique that could only be completed with the help of his best friend Obito's Sharingan. This is his pride. Ishihara was already a little overwhelmed just by learning Reikiri. Now the other party actually told him that he had developed a new and stronger secret technique based on Reikiri. How is this possible? Ishihara nodded with a smile. Kakashi and Itachi just breathed a sigh of relief. But the next moment, Ishihara's words made them feel like they were falling into an ice cave. Since you don't believe it, let you try it yourself. New secret technique, Thunder Fall. Kakashi and Itachi changed color and looked at Ishihara in shock. I saw Ishihara slightly raised his hands, his palms facing the direction of the two people, and two lights lit up in the center of the two palms. Not good. To die. In an instant, the two of them felt a terrifying crisis that was intense to the extreme. Cold hairs stand on end. The scalp explodes. Boom. In the incredible eyes of the two people, two waterfalls composed of thunder appeared in the light in Ishihara's two palms. Just like the Milky Way falling into the sky. Thunder falls, with its terrifying speed and power. Come down, fall again. Ishihara's palm is the sky. The two of them are the earth. Boom. The entire base passage was occupied by terrifying thunder. Two long thunder waterfalls erupted from the depths of the base. Like a laser, it penetrated the entire passage from the depths of the base, and finally blasted out the gate of the base. Terrifying thunder soared into the sky and reached the sky. Boom. The ground shook wildly. A pillar of thunder rose into the sky. Thump. Thump, several figures fell from the sky and hit the ground. Ishihara walked out from the depths of the passage, a little surprised that it didn't collapse. The quality of Orochimaru's work is acceptable. Although it's not like he hasn't been out in the past 6 years, it seems like a long time has passed since he last went out. When the sun shines on his face, Ishihara was still a little uncomfortable and narrowed his eyes. The air outside is better. He stretched, then his eyes fell on a few figures lying not far away, and walked over. Jugo's injuries were serious. In addition to Kakashi being severely injured by Reikiri before, he was also affected by thunder falls. Ishihara walked up to him and looked at Chongo, who was struggling with his hands and feet to get up with his bloody body. Have a good rest. With that said, he directly used the 5-element seal to lift the seal for Zongwu. Seeing Jugo entering the cursed seal state and recovering quickly from his injuries, Ishihara breathed a sigh of relief. Although his immortal body cultivation method has been completed. However, future experiments after immortalization still need to be carried out by Jongo. After doing this, he looked at Kakashi and Itachi beside him. When the thunder falls erupted just now, Kakashi blocked himself and Itachi with the Reikiri he had already used. As for the others, they are all dead. Kakashi looked at his trembling hands, with a look of fear still on his face. Even if he tried his best, he could only protect himself and Itachi. And this is just a secret technique that Ishihara developed in the blink of an eye after looking at his own Reikiri. What kind of monster is this? Kakashi and Itachi stood up tremblingly, looking at Ishihara approaching as if facing a formidable enemy. Ishihara laughed and said calmly, "Don't be nervous. If I wanted to kill you, you would already be dead." Of course he didn't kill the two because they were important characters. But keep it useful. Kakashi and Itachi were relieved when they heard this. But I also felt extremely lost and angry. Could it be that Ishihara was not even interested in killing them? Although they don't want to die, this thought still makes them extremely frustrated and unwilling. Ishihara walked up to the two of them, stared into their angry eyes and said calmly, "Nice look, but what's even better is this pupil technique." Kakashi and Itachi's hearts jumped when they heard this. "What do you want to do?" Itachi asked breathlessly as he had an ominous premonition. "Of course, let's study the Sharingan, the legendary pupil technique." Ishihara carefully sensed the Sharingan and eye technique chakra in the two people's bodies, and answered calmly, "Asshole." Itachi's expression changed greatly. Although Itachi would hate the clan extremely in the future. But now he is extremely proud of the Sharingan, proud. Ishihara's statement simply trampled on his pride and self-esteem, and also trampled on the entire Uchiha clan. The Sharingan is not a secret technique that can be created, it is the blood successor's limit. Itachi gritted his teeth and said, "This kind of chakra gives me a strange feeling. It's like a ghostly escape, and it feels like it's mixed with something else." Ishihara seemed not to hear it and was still staring at the Sharingan to study. He frowned slightly and thought to himself, "It seems like it's time to find an opportunity to study the pupil technique specifically. Without strong insight, it is impossible to see the flow route of chakra." Now he can only analyze the nature of the chakra in the Sharingan through his perception ability. This kind of efficiency is too slow, which makes him who has been comprehending secret techniques at a high speed a little uncomfortable. Itachi was so angry that he was being ignored. He usually looks calm, even cold-blooded, because he knows that no one else can compare to him. In fact, he was so proud that he felt that no one could compare with him. Naturally, he looks down on anyone. But after meeting Ishihara, a genius who was even more terrifying than him, he could not ignore any of Ishihara's actions. She couldn't tolerate him ignoring her. It's like ignoring other people. Because that means that the other party really doesn't take him seriously and doesn't care. Ishihara murmured, "As far as I know, the three basic abilities of the Sharingan are insight, hypnotic illusion ability, and copying ability. The other two abilities are useless now, but illusion can be used as a starting point." Although he has not studied eye techniques, but he has studied illusions in depth. It can even be said that he is one of the top people in the ninja world who studies illusions. Based on his simple observation just now and his illusion background, a flash of inspiration has begun to appear in his mind. Ishihara was immediately refreshed. He knew that this was a sign of the creation of a secret technique, which meant that his direction was right. Is this guy serious? Does he really want to create a Sharingan out of thin air? Itachi felt a little unbelievable. The same was true for Kakashi next to him. But thinking of Ishihara's performance in developing the Thunderfall secret technique before, he swallowed the words that were on the tip of his tongue. An idea suddenly emerged in his mind. If it was him, it might not be impossible. This made her feel a little incredible. With an idea, Ishihara hurriedly stepped forward and wanted to put his hand on Itachi's Sharingan to facilitate further perception. What do you want to do? Itachi hurriedly stepped back and looked at him vigilantly. Ishihara's expression turned cold, staring at him expressionlessly and said coldly, "Be good and let me study the Sharingan, otherwise I will dig out your eyes to study." You. Itachi trembled all over, both angry and ashamed. He is Uchiha Itachi, a genius of the Uchiha clan from childhood to adulthood. When has he ever suffered such humiliation? But he knew that he couldn't refute it at all. Even if he committed suicide or destroyed his eyes, he probably couldn't do it. Shame. It was a great shame. Itachi had never been so eager to become stronger as he was at this moment. But at this moment, he could only stand there obediently, looking at Ishihara with a sullen face as he put his hand on his eyes, roaring in his heart. Asshole. One day I will pay you back for everything you did to me. Ishihara didn't care about Itachi's thoughts. After putting his hand on Itachi, his ability to perceive the chakra of the Sharingan went further. The thoughts in his mind became clearer. There were more and more spiritual lights in his mind. The scene suddenly became extremely quiet. Itachi and Kakashi looked at Ishihara nervously. They wanted to attack him by surprise, but thinking of Ishihara's horror, they finally gave up this plan. At this moment, Ishihara suddenly showed a happy expression. It's done. You analyzed part of the Sharingan's chakra essence by observing the flow of the Sharingan's chakra, and combined it with your illusion background. You created the Sharingan Training Method Illusion Chapter. Sharingan Training Method Illusion Chapter. The Sharingan cultivated through this secret technique only has the illusion ability of the Sharingan. What? This is done. Kakashi and Itachi are going crazy. The previous ninjutsu was fine, but this is a blood limit, and it was developed in the blink of an eye. How is this possible? The two stared at Ishihara, unwilling to believe it at all. But the next moment, as Ishihara murmured, "Sharingan." Buzz. In the unbelievable eyes of the two, Ishihara's black eyes suddenly turned blood red, and a Magatama slowly emerged. Looking at the Magatama appearing in Ishihara's eyes, Kakashi and Itachi felt like they were going crazy. How is this possible? Even if other blood limits can create it, the Sharingan can't. The two felt that their worldviews had been shattered. The scene before them was completely contrary to their cognition. It still doesn't work. Ishihara felt his Sharingan and frowned immediately. Although it looks like a Sharingan, it is actually just a form, and it helps almost nothing with insight and copying abilities. But the enhancement of illusion abilities is very obvious. It even makes his illusion space stronger. This makes Ishihara a little excited. I wonder if you can research something new. Ishihara stared at Kakashi and Itachi's eyes, and finally shook his head in disappointment. No light flashed in his mind. And the reason why he succeeded before was obviously because his illusion foundation was too strong, coupled with his analysis of the Sharingan. For the time being, it has reached its limit. It seems that I have to find an opportunity to dissect a few corpses of the Uchiha clan in the future. Ishihara thought to himself. The Sharingan is different from other bloodline limits. Its chakra source is the mutant organ in the brain of the Uchiha clan. If he does not dissect the corpse to understand it, he will not be able to figure out the essence of the Sharingan. And now he has only obtained the power of illusion in the Sharingan. Okay, you are useless. Ishihara shook his head and turned back. The battle was too noisy, and it might soon attract enemies from all sides to come and investigate. Although he was not afraid, he did not like trouble, so he moved as soon as possible. Kakashi and Itachi were stunned. Somewhat unbelievable. You just let us go like this. What conspiracy do you have? Ishihara stopped, turned his head and looked at the two with interest. If you want to talk about conspiracy, it is not without. Kakashi and Itachi suddenly became nervous. Ishihara said with a smile. Because I think you two have the potential to open the Mangekyo. For me, the Mangekyo pupil technique is an excellent research material, you must not let me down. Open the Mangekyo. Kakashi and Itachi looked at each other, both a little surprised. Itachi is a genius of the Uchiha clan, and he may indeed be able to open the Mangekyo in the future, but I am not from the Uchiha clan, how is it possible? Kakashi asked puzzled. Ishihara interrupted him with a wave of his hand, and said meaningfully. Kakashi, don't underestimate the power of your Sharingan, it is very important. He is much more interested in Kamui than in Tsukuyomi and Amaterasu. After all, that is the mysterious space realm. It is almost on the same level as the immortality method in the time domain that he is pursuing. He doesn't want to miss it. After saying that, Ishihara turned around and left, taking the recovered Jugo back into the base. As Obito's Sharingan special, Kakashi stood there frowning and thinking, still not understanding why Ishihara was optimistic about him. Itachi looked at Kakashi deeply. The Mangekyo Sharingan is extremely rare even among the Uchiha clan. It was hard for him to imagine Kakashi turning on the kaleidoscope. After all, he is Kakashi, not Ishihara. Itachi shook his head with a wry smile, feeling like he was crazy for actually comparing Kakashi to that monster Ishihara, and said, maybe there is some secret that we are not aware of. Kakashi sighed, looking at the embarrassed surroundings with a heavy heart. Although he and Kakashi survived, the other teammates died in the battle. More importantly, they were deliberately let go by Ishihara. I don't know how to explain to the Hokage after I go back this time. The two of them slowly walked away from here with their seriously injured bodies. On the way, Itachi turned around and looked at the entrance of the base behind him. I wonder if I will be his opponent after turning on the kaleidoscope. He once thought that the Mangekyo Sharingan was very powerful. But now, he is not confident anymore. Hope, never see that monster again. Deep inside the base, the place is well protected, and the survivors are quickly packing various materials and items. Lord Ishihara, Lord Ishihara, Lord Ishihara. As Ishihara returned, the survivors looked at him with admiration and awe. Pack everything up immediately and wait until dark. If the teacher doesn't come back, then we will retreat first. Ishihara's expression remained unchanged and he calmly issued the order. He returned to the data room and prepared to learn a few ninjutsu to pass the time. Yes, everyone responded loudly and in high spirits. It didn't feel like they had been invaded, but rather like they had won a battle, and their fighting spirit was high. With a strong person like Ishihara guarding them, everyone felt extremely at ease, and even the packing speed was much faster. Time passes slowly. It was near evening. Ishihara, who was reading, suddenly put down his scroll and looked at the entrance of the base. Orochimaru is back. He stepped out. Base entrance. Orochimaru looked at the ruined doorway, his face suddenly became extremely gloomy, and his whole body exuded an icy cold air. Asshole, who is it? Don't let anything happen to Ishihara. Orochimaru rushed into the base anxiously. Suddenly, Orochimaru stopped, his pupils shrank suddenly, and he stared straight ahead. What's going on? There is a very weak but very strong, very uncomfortable pressure that is approaching quickly. Is it an intruder? He looked ahead in confusion, hesitating a little. The other party's pressure was so strong that he felt depressed and aggrieved. Once they meet, it may be a bit dangerous. However, Orochimaru's expression suddenly changed and he had goosebumps all over his body. No, this feeling, this chakra, how come it looks so much like Ishihara? Is it him? He succeeded. Orochimaru's whole body trembled, and he instantly rushed into the depths of the base. My heart is on fire. The immortality he wanted was finally available. Although he didn't develop it himself, he didn't care. On the contrary, I was extremely excited. He was very fast, but he stopped suddenly after a while. In front of him stood a figure. It's Ishihara. Orochimaru stared at him, his eyes and face full of disbelief, and asked in a trembling voice. You succeeded. Ishihara smiled and nodded. Teacher, I didn't disappoint you. Of course. Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. Orochimaru laughed maniacally. He really felt the pressure coming from Ishihara. That is the magnetic field emitted by biological instincts from higher levels of life. His feelings are unmistakable, just like the coercion on the white snake Immortal who was angered by him back then. Seeing Orochimaru's excitement, Ishihara couldn't help but smile. If it hadn't been for the teacher, I would have starved to death in the wilderness. And my teacher has been very good to me over the years. Even though I am only a few years old, I am still the person with the second highest authority in the base. Whatever I want to learn, whatever I want to see, whatever I want, the teacher will satisfy me. As he spoke, Ishihara himself couldn't help but feel a little emotional. Orochimaru was really good to him. It can even be said that he would not be able to enjoy this kind of treatment in any other place. Orochimaru's eyes widened when he heard this. He had a premonition of what Ishihara was going to say, but he felt it was unlikely. But the next moment, Ishihara solemnly took out a scroll and handed it to him. Teacher, this is the magic method I created, please take a look at it. Hiss. Orochimaru trembled violently, staring at the scroll and unable to move away. He felt incredible. This was a secret technique that could make people immortal. Even if he was good to Ishihara, he didn't think it was worth so much. No one would be willing to give away such a priceless treasure. But Ishihara did it anyway. As a teacher, he had to accept the secret technique of his disciple. Even Orochimaru was somewhat embarrassed. But, reserved. Now Orochimaru had no such thing in his mind. He could not wait to grab the scroll and immediately opened it to read. Okay, let me see. So that's it, it's this idea. It turns out that the natural energy path is right. Hiss. According to the theory, as long as the body is completed, the strength has the potential to surpass the first generation of Hokage. Orochimaru looked at the scroll excitedly, muttering to himself. After a long time, Orochimaru finally finished reading it all, and then he let out a long breath, raised his head, and looked at his disciple with a complicated expression. Ishihara, you have surpassed me. Being surpassed by his own disciple. As early as when Ishihara took out the bodybuilding skills, he was already prepared. But Orochimaru did not expect that this day would come so soon. His mood was indescribably complicated. Originally, as a teacher, being surpassed by a disciple was a very proud thing. Because in fact, he only provided Ishihara with a learning environment, and did not really guide him. Compared with the master and apprentice, Orochimaru felt more like being surpassed by a competitor. He was a little unwilling, but also a little calm. At this moment, Orochimaru accepted the reality that he was indeed not as good as Ishihara. Teacher, isn't this what you have been looking forward to? Ishihara still kept smiling. He was very satisfied with Orochimaru's reaction. There was no modification to the immortal method he gave, it was true. He said he would not disappoint Orochimaru, and he would not disappoint him. But Ishihara also really wanted Orochimaru to be his experimental subject and take the risk for himself. After all, he is only 3,000 years old now, and it is too early to want eternal life. Orochimaru shook his head with a smile, then took out a blank scroll and began to write. Ishihara raised his eyebrows. He had already seen the first few words, and he couldn't help but feel a little excited. The art of reincarnation without corpse. After Orochimaru finished writing, he handed over the scroll and said with a complicated look. This is the forbidden technique I have been studying, the technique of rebirth without corpse. I hope it can help you with your research. With the immortal body, he has been able to obtain the most powerful body, so he naturally no longer considers changing to other bodies. The technique of rebirth without corpse is no longer useful to him. This makes Orochimaru feel a little disappointed. Ishihara opened the scroll and looked at the contents inside, and his eyes suddenly lit up. Sure enough, this is knowledge about soul and spirit. You have read the secret technique of rebirth without corpse, the experience of Senju Tobirama and Orochimaru, and you created the secret technique of possession. Secret technique of possession. After using it, your soul can be transferred to a new body, with minimal loss to the soul, and the new body can be used up to the age of natural death at most. Useless. Ishihara just took a look at the secret technique and threw it behind his mind. For him, what is more important is the knowledge in this secret technique, and there are many things that he needs to study and deduce further, so he will put it away for the time being. Seeing this, Orochimaru immediately asked, "What happened here?" Ishihara briefly explained, and Orochimaru immediately sneered. This is too coincidental. I was stopped by the Akatsuki organization on my way back. I'm afraid they leaked the information to Konaha. Then, Orochimaru also talked about the red sand scorpion and the heavenly path pain he met. Don't worry about them for the time being. The most important thing now is to carry out the next step of research on longevity. Ishihara thought for a moment and shook his head. You already have a clue. Orochimaru's eyes lit up when he heard this. He also read the cultivation method of the immortal body, and naturally knew about the lifespan of 3,000 years. But what he wanted was immortality, so he wanted to go further. I think the next step is to study the blood limit, and I also want to do some experiments. If there are no accidents, it should be good for the immortal body. So we need to master the blood limit and the corpse. Ishihara did not say anything about the information related to the 10 tails. After all, the source of the information is unclear, but it is more reasonable to explain it with experiments, which is more beneficial to him. Orochimaru laughed coldly upon hearing this. It just so happens that I recently received intelligence that the blood mist policy of the Mist Village has reached the most intense moment of resistance. I heard that the Hazuka clan and the Taketori clan are preparing to rebel. And there are still a large number of corpses of people with blood limit in the Mist Village. Ishihara's eyes lit up upon hearing this. Well, let's go to the Mist Village. Most of the subordinates that Orochimaru will recruit in the future are from the Mist Village, and they are destined to be studied. The status of the two has been reversed unconsciously. But no one felt it was inappropriate, but rather felt it was natural. Everything was destined after Ishihara took out the sage body training method. Konaha Village. After Kakashi and Itachi returned to Konaha, they immediately went to the Hokage building to report. At this moment, there was a dead silence in the Hokage's office. Just now, Kakashi and Itachi told the whole story of this mission, and even the third Hokage's trusted Anbu explored Kakashi's memory and confirmed the authenticity. The third Hokage had a solemn expression, puffed on his cigarette, and gritted his teeth and said, I didn't expect that there would be such a gifted person in this world, and he is also a disciple of Orochimaru. What a trick of fate. He should belong to Konaha. We must find a way to get him back to Konaha. The third Hokage was extremely unwilling. Kakashi and Itachi looked at each other, their faces full of bitterness. They had advised him several times, but the third Hokage didn't listen at all. Hokage-sama, please don't do stupid things, that's courting death. Ishihara, the whole Konaha can't afford to offend him. In the land of water, somewhere in the forest, the Anbu of the Mist Village is cruelly besieging and killing several people. Asshole Yagura, my Hazuka clan will not let you go. How dare you attack our Hazuka clan? Yagura is crazy. What is going on? Even if you want us to die, you have to give a reason, right? Yagura, come out. Several seriously injured Hazuka clan members roared angrily. But the only response they got was a more violent attack from the Mist Ninja Anbu and a tragic death. Obito stood on the top of a tree in the distance and looked at the body lying on the ground with cold eyes. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.